Chapter 1843, Lin Feng's Wildness. I wonder when the demon sealing sage sealed a part of the great world into his own small world. The members of Jiu Yu's government even have someone called Jiu Yu's sage. They must be incredibly strong. The one who created this small world was powerful. Unfortunately, the demon sealing sage stopped taking care of this small world. Otherwise, this small world would have been incredibly powerful, thought Lin Feng. Perhaps the demon sealer initially wanted to use this small world to relax and enjoy himself. Maybe he was happy as long as nobody destroyed it. And there was Jiu Yu's government's Jiu Yu sage. He was probably a peerless cultivator. It was going to be difficult to remain in Yangzhou City. Bro. Lin Wuxiang walked over to Lin Feng and smiled. Lin Feng was saddened to see that Wuxiang had lost an arm, and he was only 15 years old. He was completely different from Xiao Chen in the small village. He had an indomitable will. Lin Feng had always been worried about Wuxiang because he had had a great life, and was born in great circumstances with everything he needed. But in the end, he was still motivated and worked hard. Lin Feng released life cosmic energies, which started flowing throughout Wuxiang's body. Lin Feng clapped Wuxiang's shoulders and said, "You're only 15 and you're already so tough. Just be careful next time." Hee hee. Wuxiang just laughed. Lin Feng tousled his hair. Wuxiang laughed again and said, "Dad and Mom said that when you were 15, you had started rising in the region and that you were traveling alone. They said you were fearless and had an indomitable will. People also admired you. I'm 15, I can't be much weaker than you. But you should stay safe," said Lin Feng. He wanted nobody to have the same life he did back when he was 15. Back then, he had no background, he was just traveling around alone. Wuxiang had a different life. He could stay safe. He had a choice. Lin Feng and Wuxiang landed on the ground. Lin Feng looked around and warmth filled his heart. "Dad, Mom." Lin Feng greeted his parents. Yu Menghe's eyes were still filled with tears. Lin Hai just nodded. "Little Lin Feng, what about Wuxiang's arm?" "I will heal him," said Lin Feng, releasing both of them. Lin Feng also noticed Lu Fei, Yun Shi, Yi Shui and the others, but someone was missing. He inquired, "Where's Xin Yi?" When everybody heard him, they looked a bit strange. Lin Feng suddenly had a bad premonition, but he also understood what had happened after they told him. He had wondered about this a long time ago. She was already being controlled. "I'm going to look for her," said Lin Feng, smiling grimly. Then he added, "Dad, Mom, I don't have much time. I need to sort out some things." "All right, you can go," nodded Yu Menghe. Lin Feng slowly rose up in the air and said, "Jiangya's people, attend me." There was a sound of swords cutting the air. The strong cultivators from Jiangya appeared, their faces looked as sharp as swords. "Young master," greeted the strong cultivators, bowing before him. Lin Feng made a cutting motion, and dazzling lights appeared, materializing many imperial weapons, all containing a powerful strength. Jiangya's cultivators were stupefied, and their hearts also started pounding. Imperial weapons, all these are imperial weapons. They had never seen so many imperial weapons. To Lin Feng, these weren't important. He had killed so many strong people who came from powerful groups. They all had great items with them, and Lin Feng had taken them all after killing them. "All of you, choose a weapon," said Lin Feng calmly. Jiangya's people were overjoyed. Their silhouettes flickered and they all chose weapons they liked. They had been protecting Xueyu for 10 years and as time passed, they had been complaining more and more. However, at that moment, they all had the feeling that it had been worth it. Their young master had come back, and Jiangya had probably started rising in Ba Huang province. "Tell everyone what I'm going to tell you now. In around 2 months, there might be tremendous changes in Xueyu. Maybe Xueyu will have to stop communicating with the outside world, but your lives won't be in peril. People who want to stay can stay, those who want to leave can leave. However, those who want to leave will have to leave within 2 months, said Lin Feng extremely loudly. Many people started shaking. Xueyu was going to change. What was going to happen in Xueyu? Yes, young master, said the 2 leaders of the group from Jiang'e. Then, the strong cultivators' silhouettes flickered. They went out in Xueyu to inform the populace. Lin Feng looked at the imperial palace. The Qi Xie soldiers were the guards of the imperial palace. Lin Feng had made them rise, they were legendary in Xueyu. Qi Xie forces, listen to my orders, shouted Lin Feng. Qi Xie troops, present, shouted the troops rising in the air. Same for you, go and inform the population that Xueyu will change, said Lin Feng. Qi Xie forces, yes, sir. The soldiers also headed out. On that day, they traveled all around the country with their beasts, from one city to another. Of course, ordinary people couldn't leave Xueyu within 2 months, maybe they wouldn't be able to leave Xueyu in their entire life. Lin Feng mainly meant to inform cultivators. The empire of Xueyu stirred. Lin Feng had come back and had told his people that some great changes were going to happen, that maybe they were going to be isolated from the outside world. How astonishing! Many people were startled, and had to choose, did they want to stay or did they want to leave? They wanted to know what kind of changes Lin Feng was talking about. Did he mean good or bad changes? Nobody told them anything, though. Lin Feng was giving them a simple decision, Xueyu was going to change, did they want to leave or stay? That was their choice. As the news spread, people from the imperial palace in Yangzhou City also had to come up with a decision. The majority of them decided to stay. Many people in the imperial palace were closely related to Lin Feng, and they trusted him. No matter what happened, Lin Feng was like a god to them, he cared about them and wouldn't let anything happen to them. Of course, most people were determined, but still a minority of them decided to leave. Lin Feng didn't force them to stay. They were all free. A few days later, people who passed through Yangzhou City's imperial palace realized that it was empty. Nobody was there anymore. Where were the members of the imperial palace of Xueyu? Were they all in the mysterious deployment spell? Everything was so mysterious. But like everyone else in Xueyu, they had to decide what they wanted to do, did they want to stay or leave? Lin Feng had given them 2 months. If they wanted to leave, they had to leave within 2 months. For them, the easiest choice was to move to countries and empires which weren't far from Xueyu. During those days, a powerful cultivator landed in Yangzhou City, and inspected Yangzhou City with his godly awareness. Many people sensed a powerful pressure. However, the strong cultivator didn't find anything. The young man who had killed his descendants was already gone. His family, his friends, and all the members of the imperial palace were gone. The man was furious, but impotent. A gigantic hand descended from the sky and destroyed the imperial palace, which turned into a field of ruins. Actually, he didn't know that Lin Feng was in Yangzhou City and was watching him. Lin Feng understood that the demon sealer's seal restrictions didn't exist anymore. Maybe back then, his purpose was just to threaten all the emperors of Bahuang. After the strong cultivator left, Lin Feng also left Yangzhou City. He started inspecting all the areas of Xueyu. At the same time, he started creating his own small world based on Xueyu's shape. At the top of a mountain, there was a young man seated cross-legged with his eyes closed. It was Lin Feng. In Lin Feng's spirit small world, there was a group of people who were watching everything. They were stunned. "Bro, are we really going to stay in your small world?" asked Lin Wuxiang, staring at Lin Feng. This place was just like Xueyu. For Wuxiang, there was no difference between Yangzhou City and the place where he was at that moment, it's just that they were in another world. Wuxiang, Yu Menghe, and the others were all astonished. This was the small world of a strong cultivator. Lin Feng had become so strong that he could already create a world which looked just like Xueyu. Wu Shang, this is my small world, but it's also Xueyu. In the future, this world will become very big, said Lin Feng, smiling. Lin Hai frowned and walked over to Lin Feng. Little Lin Feng, you really want to imitate Xueyu in this world? Dad, I gave everyone the option to stay or leave. Those who choose to stay want to stay in Xueyu. I can't change their world, their everything. They want to keep their houses and everything, said Lin Feng. I will constantly make this world better. I will make it become powerful. In 100 years, you will maybe see the whole world, not just Xueyu. Chapter 1844, Changes in the Empire. Lin Feng appeared in a forest in Xueyu. He inspected each of its corners with his godly awareness. He memorized everything perfectly. Then, he continued traveling using his boat. Soon, people who had decided to stay would have to be moved. Lin Feng wanted everything to stay the same because it was his homeland. He could change anything anytime, anyway. After a short time, Lin Feng appeared in an ancient village. The people there were ordinary people. Even those who knew about cultivation and practiced it had low cultivation levels. The majority of them were cultivators of the Qi layer. Sister, did anyone tell you anything about moving? Asked Lin Feng, walking up to an older woman wearing clothes made of animal skins and smiling. I did. Troops riding beasts came to the village and told us about it, said the woman. She smiled and stood up. You must come from very far away. Have a seat. I'll get you some water. Lin Feng didn't refuse. He took the glass of water. It was fresh and cool. He smiled and said, do you know what the people in the village intend to do? The woman shook her head. We're in the cultivation world, nobody knows us. We don't know about anything. We don't need to worry. Why would we waste our energy to travel over hundreds of kilometers? We don't want to leave Xueyu, anyway. The woman kept smiling. In the distance, a group of strong men with spears arrived. They looked like hunters. There were animals at the top of those spears, showing a successful hunt. Miss, who's that? Asked one of the young men. The woman looked at him and smiled. He's passing through our village, so I gave him a glass of water. Brother, stay with us tonight, let's get drunk and have a barbecue, proposed the young man, smiling wholeheartedly at Lin Feng. Lin Feng didn't refuse. In the evening, the villagers gathered, grilled some meat and stuffed themselves. Everybody danced together, and was having fun. Lin Feng was in the crowd and enjoyed himself too. He loved it. On that day, Lin Feng even slept around a fire. Everybody slept next to one another. On the second day, he left the village. He continued traveling around the country. The day arrived. Many people in the empire of Xueyu were afraid. 2 months had passed. Some tremendous changes were going to happen in the country, but was going to happen. Lin Feng, his family, many of his friends, the Qi Xie forces, and Jiang's cultivators were all in the imperial palace of Yangzhou City in the empire of Xueyu. Are you all sure you want to stay? If you want to leave, it's not too late. I don't want you to feel pressured, Lin Feng asked the crowd. He had warned everybody that some tremendous changes were going to happen in Xueyu. We're sure. We want to stay and protect Xueyu forever, said the Qi Xie forces. Xueyu was their homeland. They had to protect it, they would never give up. All right. Lin Feng nodded and looked at the members of Jiang. Jiang rules over Ba Huang now. You can leave and go back if you want. Jiang's cultivators clenched their fists. What a difficult decision. Many people didn't leave Xueyu because they were from there, but Jiang's people were from Jiang in Ba Huang. Something was going to happen, maybe they would be stuck in Xueyu forever. Young master, I have decided to stay, declared someone. His voice sounded like a whistling sword. He knew that if he went back to Jiang, he would enjoy a high position and live in comfort, but it would be difficult to become stronger. If they stayed with Lin Feng, they would maybe have more opportunities, or maybe not, but they were willing to take that risk. "Alright, I'm not asking you again then," said Lin Feng. Suddenly, his spirit materialized in dazzling form, and a page of his spirit dashed to the sky. "What's that?" People raised their heads and stared at that one-paged golden scripture. There was a very detailed drawing on that page. It looked like an entire world. Brilliant lights appeared. The book became gigantic and turned into a light curtain which blotted out the sky and the sun. People were astonished. "Something is falling down on Yangzhou City," shouted some people. It was an illusional world. That world was condensing, it almost looked real. People in Yangzhou City were stupefied. It wasn't a book, it was a world, but it looked like a mirage. "He's condensing qi into a small world." The strong cultivators of Jiang'e were staring at Lin Feng. They had heard that emperors could create small worlds, but they had never seen it happen in front of their eyes. Qi was condensed and then turned into a solid world. The stability of the small world depended on the strength of the cultivator. However, could Lin Feng really create a small world like those strong cultivators created? What did Lin Feng want to do? Very quickly, people from the entire empire of Shuiyu landed in the small world, without exception. Qi condensed, and the most amazing part was that as the world expanded, they saw it for themselves. The two worlds were converging. Was that the tremendous change they had heard of? Who would tell them what was going on? Yangzhou City, Imperial Palace. People in the Imperial Palace of Yangzhou City were startled as they stared at the mirage. They could see Yangzhou City, the exact same Yangzhou City. "Stabilize," shouted Lin Feng. The qi condensed even more, and suddenly, people from the empire of Shuiyu found themselves shaking violently. The illusion descended from the sky even faster. Was something good happening? Or bad? Finally, the mirage descended from the sky and landed in the empire of Shuiyu. The worlds completely fused together as the qi condensed. The crowd realized they were still in the same place. Nothing had happened. However, they sensed a strange qi all around them. What happened? Thought many people. Their hearts were pounding. Not knowing what had happened terrified them. They didn't know that Lin Feng was the only one left in the world they were in before. He was watching a whole world emerging. Qi continued condensing. It wasn't qi anymore, it was a real world. What a strange world. "It's my own world," smiled Lin Feng. That world looked tiny to him, but for the people inside, it looked normal. They were still in Shuiyu, the country they knew. They didn't know they were in another small world. Lin Feng appeared in his small world. "Bro, why did you disappear all of a sudden?" Lin Wuxiang asked Lin Feng. He was astonished, and so was everybody else. They were all staring at him, waiting for him to reply. However, Lin Feng just laughed. He didn't say anything. A strong cultivator from Jiang'e looked at him, his eyes were twinkling, and he asked, "Young master, that's still the empire of Shuiyu?" Lin Feng smiled and said, "It's still the empire of Shuiyu, and it will always be. You will also always stay in the empire of Shuiyu, you understand?" The strong cultivator looked at Lin Feng in a deep and meaningful way, and then he nodded, "I understand. We're in the empire of Shuiyu, and it will always be." At that moment, many people from Shuiyu looked at the sky and realized that the mirage had disappeared. Nothing had changed. Some people looked around and noticed that some details had changed. It was the same, but at the same time it looked different. Many people were scared, not knowing what had happened. For example, some people were in front of a well. They were about to take out some water, and suddenly, the well had disappeared. Some other people were in their houses. There was dust and spider webs in the corner of the rooms, and at that moment, those things had disappeared. Things were the same, but at the same time they had changed, too. Lin Feng's world couldn't be exactly the same. Many details were different because Lin Feng hadn't noticed them. He had done his best, however. Many people also quickly forgot about those things because it was still as if nothing had changed. They were still in the empire of Shuiyu, their friends and family members were still at their sides. Chapter 1845, Nothing to worry about in Lin Feng's world. The deployment spell which protected the imperial city had already disappeared. He didn't need to protect the imperial city anymore. Many trees replaced the deployment spell. Many trees also appeared in Yangzhou City, containing an incredible strength. That strength flew throughout the entire empire of Shuiyu. Lin Feng was convinced that his small world would turn into a continent soon. It would be filled with cosmic energies and holy cultivation places. At the foot of the heavenly grace ancient tree Lin Feng, his family and friends had gathered. They could all sense the incredible cosmic energies of the heavenly grace ancient tree. Lin Wuxiang's eyes twinkled and he said, "Bro, that tree's cosmic energies are much stronger than the fate seed you gave me when I was a baby." "Of course, that tree can make everything change in the empire of Shuiyu," smiled Lin Feng. "Don't waste natural resources. Wuxiang, that's a heavenly grace ancient tree, it can heal your arm, and it can cleanse your body. It can make you smarter and it can also help you practice cultivation even faster." "Understood," said Lin Wuxiang. Lin Hai and Yumeng he didn't know what had happened, but they didn't ask much. They were still in Yangzhou City in Shuiyu. Everybody else was there, too. For them, nothing had changed, and everything was perfect. The reason why Lin Feng built a small world was that he wanted to protect his family members. If Lin Feng had just made his family members move into a small world by themselves, they would have been bored quickly. He had made the entire population of an empire move into his small world. This way was much better, there was life directly from the beginning. And his parents were able to have the same life as before. "Dad, Mom, I have things to do," said Lin Feng nodding at everybody before leaving quickly. After a short time, he arrived at the border of the empire of Shuiyu. He created some fences around his small world, so nobody would be able to leave that way. Even if people looked there, they wouldn't know that another world was on the other side. Lin Feng created a mountain range as a fence, with many trees and plants. At the same time, he also planted many Bodhi trees in the mountains. Valleys, lakes, rivers, and paths appeared. After that, Lin Feng jumped to the top of a mountain and looked around. Everything looked real. Then, Lin Feng flashed away again and continued creating other places. He could do what he wanted. He only stopped when he was too tired, and smiled happily. He had created his own world. His world lacked people and history. Of course, people could also evolve with time, but Lin Feng thought that if all these people belonged to the same empire, that wasn't enough. People would need hundreds of years to evolve that way. Of course, Lin Feng could also establish rules. For example, he could forbid people from killing. That way, people would live in peace and stop fighting. However, if they stopped fighting, what would cultivation become? Therefore, he didn't establish any rules. Lin Feng sat down in the air and looked around, smiling widely. This world was his, he was a god here. "I wonder if I can create things using strength that belongs to me only in my world, or cosmic energies," murmured Lin Feng. For example, the planet Earth was a world of civilization, of science and technologies. The continent of the 9 clouds was a cultivation world. Both worlds evolved differently, and people in those worlds were different and never met. However, was the continent of the 9 clouds the ultimate version of the cultivation world? All worlds worked according to the yin and the yang, they all had the earth and the sky, as well as the strength of the 5 elements. Lin Feng's small world was no exception. However, could he create new sorts of cosmic energies? And were the cosmic energies in his small world the same as in the outside world? In the outside world, could he use the same cosmic energies he could in his own small world? After thinking for a long time, Lin Feng disappeared from there. In the outside world, there was nobody left in the empire of Shuiyu. It was unpopulated and looked abandoned. Human beings and animals had all disappeared in the blink of an eye. In neighboring countries and regions, people said that they had seen Shuiyu's people rise to the skies and disappear. When people said that, their questioners said they were either insane or drunk. However, the rumors spread around quickly and many people said that the empire of Shuiyu was now unpopulated. People had all disappeared between one day and the next. They were many rumors. Some people even started wondering if those people who were considered insane weren't right. More and more people came to Shuiyu to see if the rumors were true. Many people still didn't believe the rumors, but many people also started having doubts, especially when they witnessed reality. The rumors were not groundless. The gigantic territory of the empire of Shuiyu had become desolate. There was absolutely nobody there. Nobody knew what had happened to Shuiyu, and nobody would ever know. It was a new mystery. People in the outside world started talking about Shuiyu all the time. Even many years later, people would continue wondering what had happened. Lin Feng had already left Shuiyu. Even though he missed the actual place, he tried to forget about the past and move on. Now, he could focus solely on cultivation. He wanted to become a peerless cultivator. In the Huang Sea, a place the strong cultivators of this small world didn't even dare visit, someone was waiting. His hair was fluttering in the wind as a powerful desolate qi kept attacking his body. According to legends, the Huang Sea was an ancient battlefield, a symbol of destruction. The Huang Sea back then was the real Huang Sea. It has changed a lot since then. Now, the destructive energies have already faded, I guess, whispered Lin Feng. He opened his third eye and started absorbing strength like a madman. His dragons chanted, the 9 heads of his dragon spirit all opened their mouths at the same time and started absorbing desolate strength at full speed. They converted the energy into physical strength. Lin Feng walked through the Huang Sea, cleansing his body with its strength. He was becoming stronger as he understood the desolate energy better and better. Who said that desolate strength couldn't turn into cosmic strength? 7 days later, in Jiuyu's forbidden area, someone who looked like a scholar appeared, wearing white clothes. However, they looked sick and their face was yellow. Even though they looked handsome, they looked really ill. However, that person still dared go into the forbidden area. That person was Lin Feng. The young man he had killed had told him that people from Jiuyu's government had gone to the forbidden area of Jiuyu. They had looked for the forbidden area for 5,000 years, and were ecstatic that they had finally found it. But very few people knew about it. It was Lin Feng's first time in the forbidden area of Jiuyu. Nobody had dared go there in the past, as it was such a dangerous place. However, Lin Feng couldn't control himself, he really wanted to see it. The ground was black, the sky was black, the lakes and rivers were black. It was like hell. Lin Feng saw some people on the periphery of the forbidden area, all of them very strong emperors. Those people were definitely the strong cultivators the young man had told him about, and from Jiuyu's government without a doubt. Lin Feng didn't disturb them. He sat down in the distance and started moving his hands as if he were drawing. He was actually carving deployment spells. Lin Feng had to be careful and prepared when bumping into great emperors. These deployment spells would help him escape if required. Chapter 1846, Jiuyu, 9 Netherworlds. When Lin Feng finished carving enough deployment spells, he walked over to a river. An emperor guarded the area and looked at Lin Feng. He said indifferently, "That black water is dangerous. Go away, you can die if you come too close." "The black water is the water of the 9 Netherworlds," replied Lin Feng, raising his head and smiling. "Indeed," nodded the strong cultivator. "So it's the right place. I came here precisely because I wanted to see the water of the 9 Netherworlds. Can you really die if you get too close?" Lin Feng walked up to the edge of the river. The emperor groaned when he saw that Lin Feng refused to listen to him. If Lin Feng wanted to die, he couldn't help it. Lin Feng was just a Zun cultivator, he would definitely die if he touched the water. Lin Feng crouched and looked at the water. He slowly stretched out his hand. This place was the most famous forbidden area of Ba Huang and Jiuyu. It was much more dangerous than the Huang Sea. When Lin Feng put his hand in the water, he sensed some death chi penetrate into his arm and flow throughout his entire body. He turned black as if he had been turned into a part of the water. When the emperor saw that Lin Feng was becoming black, a contemptuous smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Lin Feng hadn't listened to him, and now he was going to die. It was a dangerous place. At that moment, Lin Feng released some life energy and gradually became yellow again. He absorbed the death energy and became completely normal again. Life cosmic energy. The emperor looked at Lin Feng strangely. This young man could touch the black water. What a powerful black water, muttered Lin Feng. He had just put his hand inside it, and death energy had invaded his body. No wonder it was the most famous forbidden area of the region. In the small world, nobody was strong enough to go here. Lin Feng put his hand away and smiled, Master, that black water looks like the water from hell. Are the 9 netherworlds under the water? Is it really hell? You can go inside and you'll see, replied the emperor, smiling icily. You're funny, Master, smiled Lin Feng widely. The emperor smiled indifferently too. However, at that moment, his smile suddenly disappeared. Lin Feng, who was smiling so widely, surprisingly, jumped into the black water. Lin Feng sensed the death chi invade his body, and turned completely black. The emperor was astonished, his mouth twitched. How was that possible? Lin Feng jumped into the water, wasn't he going to die? Lin Feng obviously didn't die. He controlled death and life cosmic energies, how could he die in the black water? However, he couldn't sense the powerful death chi, it was as if the water was trying to make him turn into a corpse. Master, don't you want to try? I don't think the water is as scary as the legends say. Lin Feng's head popped up at the surface of the water and he looked at the emperor. The man's mouth twitched. Many other emperors' silhouettes flickered as they arrive. They were stupefied when they saw him out there in the water. Why do I have the impression that this death strength is so special, murmured Lin Feng. He glanced at the few emperors, the death strength in here was so pure, purer than the death strength he understood. It was like pure death, the kind of death energy you'd only find in hell. Even though the cosmic energies he understood weren't those of the earth and the sky because the gods didn't allow him, the death cosmic energy he understood was much thicker. However, at that moment, the death strength he was sensing was much purer. Lin Feng swam about in the black water, slowly and carefully. He calmly sensed the energy here, and a vortex started rotating around his body. He started to absorb the strength rapidly. The emperors were all staring at Lin Feng. They didn't understand, Lin Feng was a Zun cultivator, how could he be swimming around in the black water? There were 2 kinds of people, those who were incredibly strong and could swim in the black water, and everyone else, who died inside or even if they got close to it. The river was quite long, and as Lin Feng swam along with the current, he could sense that the death energy was getting thicker and thicker. He had turned gray, as if his body had started decaying. He didn't even look alive anymore. Where is he going? Wondered the emperors staring at Lin Feng. Lin Feng finally stopped. If he continued swimming along the current, he might really die. Lin Feng closed his eyes, floated on his back and relaxed in the black water. At that moment, he really looked dead. The emperors of Jiuyu's government were astonished and glanced at one another. Lin Feng floated on his back for a few days and let the current take him away. He hasn't died, thought the emperors of Jiuyu's government. They were all astonished. This guy was so strange. At that moment, Lin Feng opened his eyes and frowned. He could sense an incredible strength in the water, it was as if it were about to burst, like the lava of a volcano. In the distance, more people appeared in the air, all wearing black robes. They looked enigmatic and unfathomable, especially the leader of the group. He had the eyes of a demon who had come straight from hell. He could probably kill people in the blink of an eye just by glancing at them. They saw Lin Feng and glanced over at him. Lin Feng sensed a powerful strength come down on him. Celestial Master of the Seven Knights. The crowd bowed before the leader of the group respectfully. The leader nodded at them. He looked bestial and powerfully enigmatic. One couldn't guess how old he was. "Who is he?" asked the Celestial Master of the Seven Knights, looking at Lin Feng indifferently. "Celestial Master of the Seven Knights, he was just passing through. Surprisingly, he's been swimming in the black water for 3 days and he hasn't died," replied one of the emperors. The Celestial Master of the Seven Knights frowned in surprise. A cultivator of the Zun Qi layer had spent 3 days in the black water and wasn't dead? Did he have a special body, such as the 9 Netherworlds body or the King of Hell body? Many other people appeared in the sky, all great emperors, and they bowed before the Celestial Master of the Seven Knights and greeted him, "Celestial Master of the Seven Knights. Thank you for your hard work," said the Celestial Master of the Seven Knights, "you made great efforts to find the 9 Netherworlds. Do you know when it will erupt? We've been waiting for a few months already. Its strength is getting more and more intense. The explosion should be imminent," reported one of the great emperors. Lin Feng recognized him. It was the ancestor of the 2 young men he and his brother had killed. "All right," said the Celestial Master of the Seven Knights. He shook his hand and a black gourd appeared. When the great emperors saw that gourd, they were startled. The Celestial Master of the Seven Knights had brought the gourd, he was about to absorb the essence of the 9 Netherworlds. What do the people of Jiuyu's government want to do? What mystery does this forbidden area hide? Wondered Lin Feng. They had just said that the 9 Netherworlds were going to explode, they probably meant the area under the black water. The Celestial Master of the Seven Knights flitted over to the gigantic whirlpool of the forbidden area. He suddenly turned black, and the strength of the 9 Netherworlds started flowing throughout his body. The Celestial Master of the Seven Knights took a deep breath, and disappeared into the gigantic whirlpool, where he started absorbing the strength of the 9 Netherworlds. The strong cultivators around were impressed. The Celestial Master of the Seven Knights' strength is powerful. He jumped right into the whirlpool. Those watching were astonished. Lin Feng was still in the black water, but people didn't pay attention to him. In the eyes of the Celestial Master of the Seven Knights, Lin Feng was just passing through. The goal of the Celestial Master of the Seven Knights was the 9 Netherworlds. The strong cultivators of Jiuyu's government waited patiently. Lin Feng was still in the black water and he was waiting as well. The death strength below was becoming more and more powerful. Lin Feng had the impression that he was dying. Time passed and the black water whirlpool rotated faster and faster. More and more death strength emerged. Lin Feng couldn't handle it. At that moment, someone's voice drew Lin Feng's attention. The Celestial Master of the Seven Knights suddenly rose up in the air at full speed, the whirlpool boiling beneath him. The powerful strength started exploding under him. The black water started moving at immense speed. Lin Feng was bombarded by black waves as he kept staring at the Celestial Master. The black water was rising to the skies, it looked like a waterfall but upside down. It was like the atmosphere was turning into the 9 Netherworlds. Chapter 1847, Hell, how powerful. The 9 Netherworlds were created that way. Is it the real hell? Thought Lin Feng, studying the darkness. The fearsome darkness kept spreading through the air, and blotted out the sky. Lin Feng gazed into the distance as everything was covered by the darkness. The waters moved faster and faster, and kept bombarding him. Lin Feng finally rose up into the air. He could die under such powerful energies. At that moment, the black waters turned into a black ocean. The celestial master of the 7 knights was at the top of the inverted waterfall. His eyes were gleaming as he watched the 9 netherworlds' black water. He waved his hand, and his 9 netherworlds gourd became gigantic before it started absorbing the strength at full speed. The inverted waterfall flew straight into the gourd. Essence of the 9 netherworlds. The strong cultivator of Jiuyu's government were astonished. The gourd was absorbing the essence of the 9 netherworlds. The 9 netherworlds gourd blotted out the sky. It contained a special kind of strength, as if it were absorbing the earth and the sky. Jiuyu's government came here to steal the 9 netherworlds' black water. Thought Lin Feng, shivering. The water which flowed out of the whirlpool was powerful, raw essence strength. The celestial master of the 7 knights was absorbing all its essence. The gourd he had was a great imperial weapon. There was enough essence in the gourd to form a lake. The source of the 9 netherworlds continued being sucked into the gourd. After a long time, the gourd had absorbed an incalculable amount of the 9 netherworlds' water. There were rumbles as the flow of water began to slow. Almost all of it was now inside the gourd. The ground was shaking, the sky was rumbling. Lin Feng sensed that something was happening below him. What's that? Thought Lin Feng. Lin Feng was shocked to see a building appear in the middle of the lake of the 9 netherworlds. In front of him, a gigantic palace was rising. The black palace was dreadful and imposing, it looked like a palace from hell. The celestial master of the 7 knights was startled too, and stared at it thoughtfully. The main gate of the palace opened itself. It was as if something or someone was waiting for them to go in. The entrance to hell. The celestial master of the 7 knights was astonished. The legends were true. This was the entrance to hell. The entrance to hell. Lin Feng was astonished, his heart started pounding. He blurted out, "Does hell really exist?" "Why wouldn't hell exist?" said the celestial master of the 7 knights, smiling at Lin Feng. "You want to go inside and see?" Lin Feng's mouth twitched. What would hell look like? Lin Feng was very curious. However, what would happen if he went inside? Only dead people went to hell, that's he had always heard in his previous life. Was it true, though? Maybe it was different. The cultivation world was strange. Cultivators could create worlds, so why couldn't they create hell? Lin Feng was still afraid to go to hell. But he really wanted to see what was inside. "You, go in," said the celestial emperor to Lin Feng. Lin Feng frowned and stared at the celestial master of the 7 knights. Jiuyu's sage controlled Jiuyu's government. He was a celestial emperor, he could easily kill Lin Feng. Even with a great imperial weapon, he couldn't do much against such a cultivator. He had no way to protect himself. "Master, what does hell look like?" asked Lin Feng, smiling at the celestial master of the 7 knights. "I've never been there," said the celestial master of the 7 knights, shaking his head. "Master, you want me to go in, but you will help me inside, right?" said Lin Feng. However, the celestial master of the 7 knights just shook his head and said, "I want to see if you can come back out alive. That's all." "You want to use me to try?" smiled Lin Feng. The celestial master of the 7 knights nodded. In his eyes, Lin Feng's life had no value at all. He was just curious and wanted to have some fun. "I have no choice then," said Lin Feng, shrugging. The celestial master of the 7 knights was watching him closely. "Hell, I'm coming in." "We'll see what hell can be," shouted Lin Feng, crossing the main gate. Instantly, Lin Feng appeared in another place. Outside, everything was darkness. However, in front of Lin Feng, surprisingly, there was a long corridor with guards wearing armor and holding weapons. When they saw Lin Feng, they glanced at him, and then turned around as if they hadn't seen him. Lin Feng turned around and noticed that the door was closed. Couldn't he get out anymore? If he couldn't go out, he had to continue. Lin Feng walked through the corridor. Very quickly, he arrived at a broken bridge. The bridge wasn't long and was surrounded by fog. There was a woman in front of the bridge. She was holding a bowl with a brew inside and smiled at Lin Feng. Meng Po's brew? Lin Feng was stupefied. He walked up to the broken bridge and looked at the old lady. At that moment, the old lady gave the bowl to Lin Feng. Of course, the bowl didn't contain the waters of oblivion, it contained black water. Should I drink it? Asked Lin Feng. The old woman nodded. Lin Feng took the bowl and downed the black water before he gave her back the bowl. Welcome to hell, smiled the old lady. She took the bowl and indicated the way to Lin Feng. Ghost world. Lin Feng frowned and continued walking on the broken bridge. He looked around at the fog, then back at the old woman. She nodded at him. Lin Feng continued walking and arrived at the end of the bridge. Since it was broken, the path stopped in the air. Lin Feng continued walking past the edge and didn't walk on the air, he let himself fall down. Lin Feng did a free fall for a short time, and landed roughly on the ground. He had the feeling that his bones were broken, but he scratched his head and stood up. He glanced around and smiled. Hell. Ghost world. Lin Feng laughed. He knew where he was. He had arrived in another world. Hell, or the ghost world, was just like the continent of the 9 clouds. It was just a name. Someday, Lin Feng's small world would become extremely powerful, and at that time, if he wanted, he would be able to call it hell or ghost world, or whatever. However, was this place in the great world or a small world? People's cultivation levels here are extremely high. They're not weaker than people in the holy city, thought Lin Feng glancing at the crowd. People's chi was different and the buildings around had a different architecture. But people in here were cultivators, too. But how can I go back? Thought Lin Feng, scratching his head. He had a headache. The 9 netherworlds were the entrance to another world. Since he could come in, it meant he could also leave. The problem was how. Lin Feng walked forwards and glanced around. He needed to find a place where he would be able to get some pieces of information regarding this place. Everywhere, the best places to find pieces of information were restaurants and hotels. Lin Feng quickly found a restaurant which was also a tea house. However, the water they used to make tea was black. Lin Feng drank a cup of tea and sensed the death energy flow throughout his body. He knew that taste. He was drinking more black water. Of course, the death chi of this black water wasn't intense. The other people in the restaurant also drank black water, but they looked normal, it was a normal thing to do for them. It was just like tea in other worlds. Why do I have the feeling that this place is not connected to any other world, muttered Lin Feng. This place was very strange. People here had their own drink, black water. Did it mean that they practiced death cultivation, and that they didn't die easily? Waitress, shouted Lin Feng, calling the her over. She ran towards him and smiled, how may I help you? I'd like to ask you something. Have you ever heard of the continent of the 9 clouds? Asked Lin Feng. The waitress smiled, I don't know if the continent of the 9 clouds exist or not. But I know that many years ago, I heard some people talk about strange things. They said that this world wasn't the only world, that there were other worlds. I don't know if it's true or not. Chapter 1848, Shrine. Well, what would I do if I wanted to go to another world? Lin Feng asked the waitress with a friendly smile. Many people turned around and looked at him. Was this guy insane? He was only a Zun cultivator. How could he go to another world? Dear guest, you're embarrassing me. You should go and ask the 10 Yama kings of the 10 Yama courts, and if they can't help you, then you should ask the great emperor of hell. Why would you ask me? I have no idea, replied the waitress, shrugging and smiling, "Do you want to eat anything, dear guest?" Lin Feng took out a low-level imperial weapon. It was golden and dazzling. He said to the waitress, "Bring me something to eat. If you answer some more questions, I'll give you this thing." "Dear guest, that weapon is very strange," said the waitress, staring at the imperial weapon. "It must be gold cosmic energy, but it's different. Something is missing from it," thought people in the restaurant, studying Lin Feng's imperial weapon. Someone stood up and walked over to Lin Feng. That person stretched out their hand and released gold cosmic energies. Their cosmic energies contained hell strength. Lin Feng was startled. Cosmic energies here were different. In this world, cosmic energies are different from cosmic energies in the continent of the 9 clouds. It's just like me, my cosmic energies are different in the continent of the 9 clouds. But here, the difference between their cosmic energies and those in the continent of the 9 clouds is clear and distinct. In the continent of the 9 clouds, apart from me, nobody can sense that my cosmic energies are different. Lin Feng shivered. Could this world be another great world? If that was the case, it meant that the world in his spirit could also become a great world. Small worlds were created by people, what about great worlds? If a great world emerged in Lin Feng's spirit, then he would be the creator. Lin Feng had created the world in his spirit. He was stunned. That was another great mystery, a mystery of life. Maybe the whole world was made of small worlds, the real worlds of cultivation. "Where does your hellish weapon come from?" the strong cultivator to Lin Feng. He sensed that imperial weapon contained mysteriously different cosmic energies. "I picked it up," Lin Feng replied calmly. He smiled at the waitress. "Waitress, do you know who the strongest person in hell is?" "Dear guest, you're joking." "The strongest person in hell is the almighty god of hell, of course," said the waitress naturally. The god of hell was the god of that world. Even though nobody had ever seen him, they all believed he had created the world. "Have you ever seen him?" asked Lin Feng naturally. "I don't know anyone who has ever seen him," said the waitress, smiling and shaking her head. "Do you know where he practices cultivation?" said Lin Feng. "In the Hell Shrine, I guess," smiled the waitress. Lin Feng frowned. Hell Shrine? A shrine? The god of hell was the creator of this world, and he also had a shrine, which meant that the Hell Shrine was probably the most powerful group in this world. "Who are you?" asked the strong cultivator, staring at Lin Feng. His eyes were pitch black. Lin Feng's questions were unusual. He was a Hell Zone cultivator, how could he not know about those things, and why did he ask strange questions? The emperor found Lin Feng suspicious. He had a hell weapon with different cosmic energies, and he asked strange and complex questions. This guy was strange. Everybody in the restaurant was staring at Lin Feng. They also thought that he was strange. Lin Feng drank some black water and put his glass back on the table. He raised his head and looked back at the man. He suddenly said coolly, "If I told you I were from another world, would you believe me?" The teapot the waitress was holding in her hand exploded. Everybody stopped talking and stared at him. "From another world? What world?" asked the emperor. "The continent of the 9 clouds," replied Lin Feng. Everybody stared at him. The continent of the 9 clouds? Another world? Lin Feng stretched his hand and golden lights twinkled. He released empty space cosmic energy. He raised his hand and smiled wryly. He mused, "I thought I would be able to be cleansed by more Kulpa strength. Cosmic strength, but you're a Zune cultivator. On top of that, surprisingly, you control cosmic energies better than ordinary Hell Emperors," noted the Emperor, staring at Lin Feng. He was surprised. "I come from another world. Maybe you don't receive cosmic energies the same way we do," smiled Lin Feng. People slowly started to believe him. He really came from another world. "Everybody, do you know how I could go back to my own world?" asked Lin Feng. After all, He was from another world. People in there had no reason to attack him. We're in one of the 10 main cities of hell, the great Imperial Song City. Even though I don't know how you came here, if you want to go back, I'll think you'll need to find the leader of the city, Great Emperor Song. He's one of the city leaders. Maybe he knows about the mysteries of this world. But you're just a small Hell Zun cultivator or small Hell Emperor, you will never be able to meet Great Emperor Song, spoke up an emperor next to Lin Feng. Apart from the leaders of the 10 main cities of hell, they knew that there were the 10 Yama kings' courts which ruled over hell. They had also guessed that there were other worlds, but now Lin Feng was confirming it. The great Imperial Song City, repeated Lin Feng. One of the 10 main cities of hell, how strong was Great Emperor Song? With his cultivation level, he wouldn't be able to meet such a cultivator. My name is Zhang Heng, and yours? Asked the emperor sitting down at Lin Feng's table. Lin Feng didn't mind. The cultivator was curious about him. He wanted to know what the continent of the 9 clouds looked like. Lin Feng. Lin Feng, Great Emperor Song has a great army. If you want to meet Great Emperor Song, you might consider becoming one of his soldiers, Zhang Heng said to Lin Feng, but those troops are powerfully strong, almost invincible. If you want to become one of their members, it will be very difficult. I want to go to the great Imperial Song City to try and become one. I don't have much hope, though, Zhang Heng said to him. Lin Feng actually needed people's help, otherwise, he wouldn't be able to do anything in hell. What do you mean by invincible? Lin Feng asked him. Great Emperor Song's army is composed of the most heroic fighters. Every day there are battles, and to become a member of Great Emperor Song's troops, you must win 100 times without losing. Zhang Heng explained to Lin Feng. People who can win 100 times without losing must be incredible warriors. Are they willing to become soldiers? Asked Lin Feng. Many people looked at him strangely, so Lin Feng understood that he had said something wrong. Lin Feng, you're from another world, you don't understand how powerful the armies of the main cities are. Hell only has 10 main cities, and their 10 leaders are powerful cultivators, they control all the resources of hell. You have to become a member of the army if you want to have access to those resources. That's also the only way for you to become truly strong, Zhang Heng explained to him. Lin Feng nodded. Hell was another world, it was different from the continent of the 9 clouds. But there are only 10 cities in hell and there are battles every day. Where do all those fighters come from? Asked Lin Feng. He was curious. Zhang Heng smiled wryly. If you knew how many people there are in the 10 main cities, you wouldn't ask. Besides, new strong cultivators appear every day in hell. Strong cultivators aren't lacking. Maybe hell and the world I come from are really completely different, smiled Lin Feng. At that moment, in the continent of the 9 clouds, outside of the forbidden area of Jiuyu, someone wearing white clothes opened their eyes. Their gaze was filled with sharp lights. That person stared at the forbidden area. If the celestial master of the 7 knights had been there, he would have been astonished, because that person was Lin Feng, who had gone into hell. My real body went to hell, I don't know when I'll be able to come out. It seems that everything is strange in the greater world. I need to control my real body now though, murmured Lin Feng. His eyes were twinkling. The problem is now that I have left my body, I only have 1/3 of my strength, and there are many kinds of strength I can't use. I have to be very careful or my physical body will get injured. Then, Lin Feng's clone silhouette flickered. He left that place and headed to Ba Huan. Chapter 1849, Famous Methods. The 3 live scriptures were strange. They were similar to the celestial evolution holy scriptures, as they weren't used to increase one's cultivation level. They represented a kind of cultivation unique to themselves. The celestial evolution holy scriptures were used to make things change and evolve. They also allowed cultivators to imitate others. The 3 live scriptures were strange, too. They allowed a cultivator to clone themselves. The number 3 was just an example, it could be much higher. In the continent of the 9 clouds, people all knew the name of the 3 live scriptures. However, few people had obtained them. Most people didn't even know what cultivators could really do with them. According to legends, a cultivator who had the 3 live scriptures could divide into 3, his real physical body, a Buddha, and a demon. Legends also said that those 3 bodies could live autonomous lives, they were 3 different people and not one person anymore. Of course, nobody knew the real details. Some people said that the 3 lives great emperor hadn't stopped after 3 bodies, maybe he had a 4th or a 5th body, too. Even though those bodies could live independently from one another, they were also interconnected. So, if one body studied or practiced cultivation, then the other bodies also benefited from it. Of course, that was a very efficient way of becoming stronger. Therefore, the 3 lives great emperor was a powerful cultivator. Everybody knew that. Empress She had also studied the 3 live scriptures. Lin Feng had also seen her use the strange powers related to them. The 3 live scriptures didn't only contain methods to divide into several bodies, they also allowed cultivators to transform. Body transformation techniques were rare in the cultivation world, but they were usually extremely powerful. Usually, when cultivators divided into several bodies, they had less strength to fight. If a cultivator was extremely strong, they could be almost as strong as their first physical body, but there were still restrictions. The cloning power granted by the 3 live scriptures worked in the same way as mitosis. Each time, a body divided into 3, and then they could divide into 3 again. The most rudimentary way of cloning oneself was to use the soul embryo, but that way, the bodies didn't have much strength, and the clone's evolution depended on their cultivation. That was what Lin Feng did. He could divide into several bodies and his strength was also divided. However, his clones were also interdependent, they couldn't live entirely on their own. Only those who understood the technique at a high level could practice cultivation on their own and evolve in the form of several clones. When cultivators were extremely strong, if one of their clones died, it was a big loss, but didn't influence their original body. Lin Feng hadn't reached that level though. If one of his clones died, his physical body would be badly injured. Lin Feng perfectly understood that. He was now going back to Ba Huang to see Xiaochen. Then, he would also need to find Hu Yu and Mulin Shui, they were waiting for him in Jianghe. At the same time, he needed to tell Jianghe's people to officially take control over the small world. The passage between Ba Huang and the small world was already open, and anyone could go in and out. Additionally, the passage between the Great World and the Small World was already under Tiantai's control. When the news spread throughout Ba Huang, people were stupefied. Tiantai had already started rising in the Great World, and some people even realized that the legendary passage between the Small World and the Great World was open. They were free to enter and exit the Small World as they wished. Many people even started heading to the Great World to travel. In Hell, in the great imperial Song City, in the battlefield outside of the city. There were many people gathered here, some arriving and some leaving constantly. In the northern part of the battlefield, there were bleachers and in the middle of the bleachers, there was a gate, the first city gate of the great imperial Song City. Among the 10 Yama Court's kings, everybody knew that great Emperor Song was the one who loved fighting the most. Battles were incredible in the great imperial Song City, and those who stood out quickly drew his attention. Hell and the continent of the 9 clouds were different. In the continent of the 9 clouds, there were all sorts of powerful groups. In Hell, the 10 Yama courts were symbols, and the strongest groups of Hell. The strongest cultivators were also in the 10 main cities. At that moment, in the bleachers, many people were watching the battles. All the fighters were incredible. That guy is one of the leaders of Hell, he controls Kala Sutra strength. The girl next to him is his daughter, the Kala Sutra princess. And the young man there is one of great Emperor Song's descendants, someone pointed out. Many people were startled. One of the leaders of Hell had come to watch battles. Maybe some incredible fighters were going to appear. No wonder he's one of the leaders, he looks incredible. His daughter or even great Emperor Song's descendants all look extraordinary and extremely strong, thought the crowd. Having the opportunity to be selected as one of the leaders of Hell was incredible. One had to be extremely strong, able to oppress everyone in Hell. They could be chosen from anywhere in Hell, but they had to be celestial emperors at the least. Zhang Heng and Lin Feng were also in the bleachers watching the battles. Zhang Heng looked at the man who controlled Kalasutra strength and said, "That guy wields Kalasutra strength, and he controls one territory of Hell as an minister. He's very powerful." Great Emperor Song grants people such privileges in the great Imperial Song City. Most people who become ministers come from those battle stages. Lin Feng nodded. In the jargon of the continent of the Nine Clouds, those parts of Hell controlled by people were maybe like small worlds, so if one could control a small world in Hell, then one had lots of advantages and access to many different resources. People in Hell seemed more straightforward than back home, too. Zhang Heng, there are so many battle stages and I'm only a low-level Hell Emperor, but even if a low-level Hell Emperor wins 100 battles without losing, can they really draw Great Emperor Song's attention? I think that it must be difficult to draw his attention, mused Lin Feng. There were many people fighting everywhere, on different battle stages for different levels. For each cultivation level, there were 80 battle stages, which meant that there were 80 battle stages for low-level emperors. Of course, Great Emperor Song is only one of the 10 Yama Court's kings. To draw his attention, you must be extremely strong. Even though it's difficult to win 100 battles without losing, it's also only to become a member of the army. If you want to draw his attention, you must also be a heroic member of the army. Zhang Heng told Lin Feng, of course, there's a shortcut which can help you stand out on the battle stage. What shortcut? Asked Lin Feng. If you do all your battles one after the other quickly, or if you challenge someone who already has lots of victories, then it can help, said Zhang Heng. Each time you complete 10 battles, you can choose to have a rest, or you can choose to continue fighting on the second day. Your opponents have to be stronger and stronger. If you can complete all your battles one after the other quickly, very strong people will come and fight against you. If you can really complete 100 battles without losing, then you'll amaze everyone, laughed Zhang Heng. But 100 battles without losing and without resting is something difficult to achieve. Don't try that, you will have many chances to lose if you do. After all, the chances to win are smaller as you progress in the battles, especially since your opponents become stronger and stronger. Your solution is not bad, said Lin Feng calmly. Zhang Heng looked at Lin Feng strangely and smiled, do you want to try that? I'm thinking about it, nodded Lin Feng. Zhang Heng laughed and said, all right, I can't wait to see how strong you are. I will fight on a different battle stage and we will see who's stronger. While talking, they also looked for a battle stage which corresponded to their level. Lin Feng didn't go up on one immediately, he first watched some battles. Many people in Hell controlled death, cosmic energy. After all, they drank black water every day, the circumstances were perfect. However, controlling death cosmic energy wasn't very useful for them since they were all resistant to it, as well. However, if an army from Hell went to the continent of the Nine Clouds, they would be able to annihilate many people. No wonder this place was called Hell. Even if they controlled other types of cosmic energies, their cosmic energies always contained death cosmic energy. It was a natural talent they had. Chapter 1850, He Lao the Kalasutra minister was one of the leaders of Hell. He was watching the high-level Hell Emperor's battles. Even though the great emperors of Hell organized the battles, he used them to recruit army members. There was no battle stage for great emperors. At that level, Great Emperor Song could grant them a position if they desired one. If they were strong, they could obtain a high position. If they were ordinary great emperors, then they had to go through the same painstaking procedure. Therefore, high-level emperors were the highest-level contestants. The young man and the young woman next to Minister Kalasutra watched the other battle stages. Minister Kalasutra's daughter was a low-level emperor, and Great Emperor Song's descendant was a medium-level emperor. His name was Wang Zhuo. He was one of Great Emperor Song's direct descendants, and had already fought on the battle stage. He had won 100 battles without losing and without having a rest, a testament to his strength. When he was still a low-level Hell Emperor, medium-level Hell Emperors already feared him, not because of his social status, but because of his strength. Great Emperor Song loved war, and he loved people who were strong. If his children weren't strong, he didn't care about them. Great Emperor Song was very old, and had many descendants. There was a fierce competition between them, and they relied solely on strength to climb up the hierarchy. Wang Zhuo, how many people do you think will win 100 battles without losing? Is the person you mentioned already on stage? Asked Minister Kalasutra. He wasn't dark at all, he was very pale, as if he had never been exposed to the sun. However, it was said that the Kalasutra Hell was a powerful place filled with fire. The fact that Minister Kalasutra was so pale was very strange. He wasn't the only one. His daughter Qinyao was also very white, even paler, but she wasn't ugly. She was considered extremely beautiful, especially her eyes. People didn't dare look at her eyes. "Minister, look at him," said Wang Zhuo pointing at someone. That person was very tall, he looked stupid, but on the battle stage, he looked powerful. How strong. Is he agile, though? He's a bit tall, observed Minister Kalasutra with a laugh, but he knew it wasn't true. He wasn't fast, but it seemed difficult to escape from him because he immediately overwhelmed his opponents. Wang Zhuo smiled, his name is He Lao. When he attacks, people are like in a cage. No matter how fast you are, it's useless against him because he will imprison you in a cage as hard as a dungeon. He's only a low-level Hell Emperor, but today he will probably win 100 battles without losing. If you like him, he can join Kalasutra Hell, said Wang Zhuo confidently. He Lao controlled death, weight, and empty space cosmic energies. He looked stupid but he wasn't. In fact, he was very smart. His empty space and weight cosmic energies fusion was perfect, he could make cages out of them. Therefore, he was very famous. Becoming famous in the great imperial Song city wasn't easy, but He Lao was famous. Of course, if Princess Qinyao challenges him, then He Lao won't be able to get 100 victories, said Wang Zhuo, laughing and glancing at Qinyao. He said that because he wanted Minister Kalasutra and Qinyao to like him. He was very strong, but he was also very polite. People liked compliments, so he didn't hesitate to dish them out. Lin Feng also noticed He Lao and stared at him. That guy's cosmic energies fusions were indeed perfect. Lin Feng started thinking, imagining what it would be like to fight against him. He considered using earth and empty space energies to attack He Lao. On the battle stage, Wang Zhuo pointed at a medium-level Hell Emperor who had just jumped onto the battle stage. He was wearing black clothes and wielding a sword, and didn't look like He Lao at all. He was sturdy, with a grey face and eyes. He also looked expressionless, as he was blind. That cultivator is a sword cultivator, his name is Jian Mang, he's blind, very dangerous and precise, though. In the great imperial Song city, many strong Hell Emperors are afraid of him, Wang Zhuo laughed. He can definitely win 100 times on the battle stage of the medium-level Hell Emperors, said Wang Zhuo confidently, as if he were talking about himself. Jian Mang was really strong. His sword skills were powerful. People who are blind are even better sword cultivators because their sword is like their eyes, said Minister Kalasutra when he heard Wang Zhuo. Minister, look in front of us, said Wang Zhuo, pointing at someone who was seated lower in the bleachers. There were pavilions filled with people. The people who were seated there had won 100 times. 20 pavilions were filled with people. I know. Those people have all won 100 battles, smiled Minister Kalasutra. Wang Zhuo nodded. They are already members of army now. However, they're still here. Minister, you probably know the reason. They want to become even more famous. They want to defeat other strong cultivators who have won 100 times. That way, they will be even more famous and they will have privileges in the government. I've heard that if you defeated 9 champions, you could obtain privileges. That's not easy, said Minister Kalasutra, smiling easily. He didn't look like a leader from hell. They must also agree on a date, otherwise, seeing 10 champions together on the same day is almost impossible. Qin Yao smiled. She looked at Wang Zhuo and said, therefore, you made my dad and me come today. My boy, you have given much thought to the matter, Minister Kalasutra smiled. I've heard that Princess Qin Yao wanted to become a member of our government. Princess, you can shine today, said Wang Zhuo smiling and nodding at Qin Yao. Qin Yao smiled back, looking even more beautiful. Wang Zhuo was convinced that she could defeat 9 other champions. She was very happy. In the great imperial Song City, even a minister's daughter had to respect the rules. She had to rely on strength to obtain privileges. Down in the bleachers, many young men looked sharp and ready to fight. They already knew that the minister's daughter was there to fight against them. It wouldn't be easy. He Lao is going to get his 100 victories. It's his last battle. I wonder who will dare come and fight against him, thought many people. At that moment, someone jumped onto the battle stage. It was a handsome young man in white clothes. Everybody was astonished, not because he looked extremely strong, but because he looked like a Hellzoon cultivator. Show me your real cultivation level, challenged someone, rising up in the air to face Lin Feng. Even though people were free on battle stages, there were still rules. Otherwise, the battles would have been totally chaotic. Lin Feng was a Hellzoon cultivator, but maybe he was hiding his cultivation level. Lin Feng nodded and released cosmic strength. When that person sensed Lin Feng's energies, he nodded, low-level emperor, fine, you can fight. He went back into the crowd. This person is strange, observed Minister Kalasutra, looking at Lin Feng. He didn't understand. Lin Feng was using a technique to hide his cultivation level, and even the minister couldn't see his real cultivation level. Even though he's using a powerful technique to hide his cultivation level, he can't defeat He Lao, proclaimed Wang Zhuo. At the same time, He Lao jumped like a demon and thunder rang out. He Lao raised his gigantic hand, which looked as big as a praying mat. He used the same technique to fight against Lin Feng as he had used against everyone else. No low-level emperor could resist him. The battle is over, said Wang Zhuo, smiling confidently. He Lao's hand came crushing down, until suddenly, he sensed a powerful strength coming at him. A cage appeared around him, he was imprisoned. He Lao's own attack. The crowd was stunned. He Lao was imprisoned. The young man destroyed He Lao's attack explosively and moved so fast he couldn't be seen, before punching out in He Lao's direction. Explosive impacts shook the air, and He Lao was pounded relentlessly. Surprisingly, He Lao started reeling. The young man in front of him was so slim, but was as motionless as a mountain. Wang Zhuo's confidence immediately disappeared from his face, unable to hide his astonishment. Chapter 1851, Blue Uptala Lotus and Hellfire. Wang Zhuo wasn't the only one who was stunned, as everybody else around was astonished too. Lin Feng looked ordinary, but he had managed to defeat He Lao. That definitely wasn't normal. He had even used the same method as He Lao. He Lao was extremely strong, and an expert at using earth energies. It even seemed that his body was made of cosmic energies. On the battle stage, nobody had been able to withstand a single attack from him. However, Lin Feng had attacked him and pushed him to the edge of the battle stage. He Lao raised his head and stared at Lin Feng. He didn't understand, how had Lin Feng used the same strength as he had? He Lao had created his own attack using some kind of evolution spell as well, so how could Lin Feng imitate him and carry out a more powerful attack than his own? Only Lin Feng knew that he had used pure strength. You also control death, birth, and empty space cosmic energies? He Lao asked Lin Feng, narrowing his eyes. Indeed, answered Lin Feng, nodding and releasing the three sorts of cosmic energies. What spell did you use just now? He Lao pressed. I don't know, said Lin Feng, shaking his head. I learned the spell from you. When He Lao heard Lin Feng, he was dumbfounded. He turned around and left the battle stage. Someone had learned his spell that quickly, and that guy's physical strength was greater than his own. He Lao looked stupid, but he was a fast learner, not stupid. He knew that Lin Feng was stronger than him, so he simply left. You're not always right, said Qin Yao, smiling at Wang Zhuo. Wang Zhuo just smiled wryly. I often make mistakes. There are many strong cultivators in the great imperial Song city. I hadn't thought that someone stronger than He Lao would show up today. This guy is a real genius if he defeated He Lao. He must have the strength of a medium-level Hell Emperor already. How curious. Did he learn that spell from He Lao? Asked Minister Kalasutra. If Lin Feng hadn't lied, he had incredible comprehensive ability. He had just watched He Lao for a little while, and had learned his spell. That was incredible. In the bleachers, there was someone with a white fan, and each time he shook it, snowflakes appeared. He watched Lin Feng with a smile. Do you think this guy can get 100 victories? He imitated He Lao's spell and overpowered him with strength. Maybe he can get 100 victories, said someone else in a pavilion. Someone else wearing linen clothes smiled. That person looked like a poor and pedantic scholar, however, nobody underestimated him. His name was Prince Mai. Everybody knew about him. His inescapable net spell was enigmatic, and could kill people quickly. Not necessarily. He will also have to face some very strong opponents. I've heard that the Prince of the Six Abysses has come to participate to the battles. If that's the case, I'm sure he'll get 100 victories. So we'll see if he manages to win 100 times, said the smiling young man with the fan. Prince of the Six Abysses. The people in the pavilion were shocked. One of them said, if he comes, it's going to get interesting. He's maybe as strong as us. People who managed to get 100 victories were all extraordinary. They're all very self-confident, observed Minister Kalasutra approvingly, looking at the young people in the pavilions. If someone manages to win 100 times in a streak, they are qualified enough to be self-confident, replied Wang Zhuo earnestly. He sounded as self-confident as before. Even if he had made a mistake about He Lao, each time he talked, it was as if fate depended on his beliefs. Minister Kalasutra understood that Wang Zhuo was self-confident, but he was also right. 100 victories in a row was really incredible, and people who managed to do that were qualified to be self-confident, indeed. Besides, Wang Zhuo himself had defeated 100 people in a row without having a rest. He had even defeated famous people. Therefore, he had the right to be self-confident too. Especially with great Emperor Song's blood flowing in his veins. He Lao and Lin Feng had battled, so he had seen how strong Lin Feng was. However, there would probably be other people who wouldn't believe that Lin Feng was stronger. Therefore, more people stepped onto Lin Feng's battle stage. However, they quickly realized that Lin Feng hadn't won against He Lao accidentally, he really was astonishingly strong. Each time someone stepped onto his battle stage, Lin Feng punched them and defeated them. Most of them were hurled off the battle stage. Lin Feng got his first 10 victories very easily and seemed relaxed. 10 victories. He's strong, but does he know how to do anything else? Besides, is he that familiar with the spell cage spell he imitated from He Lao? Thought the observers. At that moment, someone who looked like a gigantic goose flapped his wings and remained suspended above the battle stage, releasing cosmic energies. He had golden eyes that were staring at Lin Feng. Suddenly, he disappeared. Lin Feng sensed a powerful and sharp qi moving towards him. The gigantic and powerful goose charged towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng raised his fist as he vanished into the wind. It was the same old punch. However, his speed was even more higher, as he used wind cosmic energies. Everybody saw how strong the goose was. That guy wasn't going to use cosmic energies against Lin Feng. "Imprison," said Lin Feng. A cage appeared, but Lin Feng's cage wasn't as perfect as He Lao's. That cage immediately broke when the goose attacked it. But Lin Feng could see the goose moving clearly, and his fist homed in on it as he stared at the goose's golden eyes. The goose suddenly couldn't move anymore, and had the sensation that his spirit was going to be destroyed. Even though he's not as familiar with the cage as He Lao, he is strong enough to use it in a battle against his opponents, observed Wang Zhuo calmly. He sounded trustworthy and credible. Everybody realized that Lin Feng was different and abnormally strong. He had defeated He Lao, and now he had also defeated the goose. When Lin Feng won 60 times, fewer and fewer people seemed willing to go up onto the battle stage. Lin Feng was calmly standing there, he didn't look tired at all. He had easily won 60 matches. Zhang Heng was on another battle stage and the battles weren't so easy for him. He had just won 40 times in a row, and he looked exhausted. In the bleachers, 4 people appeared, 2 in front, 2 behind them. In the front were a middle-aged man and a young woman. Minister Kalasutra's skin was extremely white, but that middle-aged man was even whiter, like snow. He looked like he was sick. However, considering where he was standing, he couldn't possibly be ill. The young woman was even whiter, but still extremely beautiful. She was much better looking than the man. Minister Uptala. Wang Zhuo stood up and greeted the newcomers politely. He nodded and smiled at Minister Uptala and the young woman next to him, and then quickly looked away. Wang Zhuo knew that with women, if you didn't look at them, they thought you were impolite, and if you looked at them a bit too long, then they thought you wanted to sleep with them. Therefore, the best way was to try and not overdo things. "Uptala, you're here too." Minister Kalasutra replied with a smile. They were both leaders in hell. Minister Uptala controlled Uptala hell. They were both high officials of the 10 Yama courts. "I've heard that many things were going to happen," said Minister Uptala smiling and sitting down next to them. "Qin Yao, my girl, you're here. I came at the right time. Let's watch together," proposed Minister Kalasutra smiling and pointing at one of the battle stages. It was Lin Feng's battle stage. That little boy is quite strong. Nobody can defeat him. He's won 62 battles already and he hasn't rested at all. "Uptala, you think he will make 100 times? Let's watch and see," replied Minister Uptala. He continued watching as Lin Feng continued winning. 100 victories won't be a problem for him, Uptala said to Minister Kalasutra. "What if he doesn't?" replied Minister Kalasutra sharply. Minister Uptala glanced at Qin Yao. He perfectly understood what Minister Kalasutra meant. The other also thought Lin Feng could win 100 times, but he wouldn't let him. "If he doesn't, I'll offer Qin Yao a blue Uptala lotus," replied Minister Uptala with a smile. "But what if he does win 100 times?" "Uptala," protested Minister Kalasutra. Since Minister Uptala said he'd offer a blue Uptala lotus to Qin Yao, he couldn't miss this opportunity. "If he doesn't, I'll offer some hellfire to your daughter," countered Minister Kalasutra swiftly. Chapter 1852, Blade Technique Edi Sword Technique. Minister Uptala controlled Uptala Hell. Blue Uptala lotuses represented his strength and were at the origin of the 10,000 things of creation. Hellfire represented Minister Kalasutra's strength. That fire was destructive and powerful. The two things were precious items for Hell Emperors. If they didn't take them out even though they had said so, it would be a humiliation. "How great! I will pay attention to the battles even more then," exclaimed Wang Zhuo when he heard the two ministers make a bet. He was surprised, but he was great Emperor Song's direct descendant and he had seen many things in his life. He said that to make the two ministers calm down in a friendly manner. When people around the pavilions heard them, they were startled, too. There were tensions between the two ministers, they were arguing indirectly. Of course, they were ministers under great Emperor Song. At their cultivation levels they couldn't fight for real, so they bet on Lin Feng's results. Both Minister Uptila's Blue Uptila Lotus and Minister Kalasutra's Hellfire were precious items. For Hell Emperors, those things were priceless and very useful. For the two ministers, they weren't as priceless, and they didn't need them. Minister Uptila, you have faith in that young man, smiled Minister Kalasutra. Minister Uptila stretched out his slender white hand and smiled. Minister Kalasutra, if you didn't think he could get 100 victories, you wouldn't have asked me anything. He perfectly understood that when Minister Kalasutra had asked him that question, he already had an answer himself. Minister Kalasutra also thought Lin Feng could win, but now the circumstances were different. That was a moment before, now, I don't think he can win anymore, Minister Kalasutra smiled. He looked at Wang Zhuo. Wang Zhuo, what do you think of that lad? Wang Zhuo looked at Minister Kalasutra, his expression didn't change as he replied calmly. We'll see who gets onto the battle stage. Wang Zhuo glanced at Qin Yao. Minister Kalasutra understood what Wang Zhuo meant. When Minister Kalasutra heard Wang Zhuo, he smiled. This young man didn't want to offend anyone, so he answered politely. Lin Feng didn't know that the people in the bleachers were looking at him. He didn't know about the minister's bet either. He had already won 72 battles. For him, fighting at the level of low-level Hell Emperors, winning 100 times wasn't difficult. Even in the great Imperial Song City, it wasn't easy to find a low-level Hell Emperor who was as strong as Ji Wuyo. Ji Wuyo's fighting abilities had been powerful. It was rare for low-level emperors to be that strong. Usually people who were that strong had a special body. Lin Feng was convinced that there were powerfully strong cultivators in this place, but they weren't seen every day. Even if there were some, they also had to get onto the battle stage. Besides, even if some people stronger than Ji Wuyo wanted to battle against him, so what? He had won more than 70 battles and he wasn't tired. He had just imitated He Lao's attack so he could practice. Everything was going perfect. Lin Feng continued winning. More and more people were watching him. A few strong cultivators fought against him, they wanted to defeat him and benefit from his victories, but Lin Feng continued defeating them as quickly as he had beaten He Lao. Lin Feng had now won 81 battles. More and more people were watching him, including those young people in the pavilions. Some of them smiled each time Lin Feng attacked. That guy has won 82 battles, and he hasn't rested yet. Do you know who he is? Usually, people rest every 10 battles, but he hasn't. He wants to draw people's attention and join the army in a high position. After all, showing how strong you were was very important in the world of cultivation. The most impressive thing is that he has won more than 80 battles and it seems normal for him. He looks calm and relaxed, and hasn't used his full strength at all. He doesn't look tired at all. Everybody was staring at Lin Feng and talking. Surprisingly, nobody went up onto the battle stage to fight against him for a while. Lin Feng looked too powerful, and they didn't want to overdo it. If Lin Feng used even more brutal attacks, maybe he would be even scarier. Qing, how strong do you think that guy is? Asked Minister Uptila to the beautiful young white woman next to him. I don't know, answered Qing, shaking her head. She couldn't see how strong Lin Feng was. He has won more than 80 battles, and he hasn't used his full strength at all. He will definitely win 100 times, declared Minister Uptila. He sounded nice and friendly. However, he sounded firm, too, so people wouldn't forget his words. When Minister Kalasutra heard Minister Uptila, he looked at the battle stage. He knew that Lin Feng was extremely strong, but Lin Feng couldn't win 100 battles. There are many strong cultivators. That young man has already amazed everyone with his 81 victories. That's rare. If someone manages to defeat him, they will be rewarded, Minister Kalasutra suddenly spoke up loudly. The crowd looked at him strangely. A reward for defeating Lin Feng. Because of that, everyone looked at Lin Feng. If they defeated him, they'd be rewarded, but the government would also notice them. At that moment, a silhouette jumped onto the battle stage. He was wearing white clothes and looked extremely aggressive. His expression was as sharp as a blade. That's Han Feng. His blade skills are powerful. When he uses his 7 strikes attack, people always die. Finally, someone who's strong. Thought the crowd after they recognized the cultivator, surprised he had joined in. Han Feng's 7 strikes blade technique always kills people. A year ago, he also came onto the battle stage, he won 85 times, but he was exhausted and had to rest. Prince Mai had jumped onto the battle stage then, too. Now, a year has passed. He must have become much stronger, everybody was commenting. Han Feng had practiced cultivation really hard during the past year. Han Feng took out a black blade, shaped like a crescent moon. It wasn't like a sword, that blade cut people. Han Feng's blade technique was about killing as fast as possible. Han Feng cut the air with his blade, not speaking any nonsense. His black blade contained powerfully aggressive energies. He charged Lin Feng with an indomitable will. Lin Feng stared at the blade. It was a death-hell blade, and contained some wind and earth energies. Han Feng looked extremely aggressive and was also extremely fast. His 7 strikes laceration technique was powerful, aggressive, fearless, and heroic. His blade could kill people in the blink of an eye. Lin Feng sensed the energy surrounding him. How aggressive, brutal, and violent. Lin Feng's eyes became pitch black. He started using the Celestial Evolution Holy Scriptures to imitate his opponent's technique. He could suddenly clearly see how powerful the blade was. Such an aggressive blade technique could possibly kill medium-level emperors. However, because he was extremely aggressive, he probably had a weakness in his defense. He didn't seem to pay attention to defense. Few people could actually counterattack after such a powerful blade attack. Usually, the first strike was enough. The first strike hadn't even reached Lin Feng before the second blade had already appeared. It was as if blades were falling from the sky like shooting stars, all of them dazzling. Few people could fight against him. His blade attacks could easily cut people apart. Even Minister Kalasutra was amazed and said, "What an incredible blade technique." If he moved a little bit faster, then his technique would be even more powerful. Minister Kalasutra was clearly helping out Han Feng. As expected, Han Feng heard Minister Kalasutra and immediately released more wind cosmic energy. His attack became even sharper. However, there were exceptions. As Han Feng's blade attack moved forwards, a kind of sword strength descended from the sky. It was like a million death swords were falling from the sky, he could sense the sharp energies. He looked at Lin Feng and saw 2 eyes, the eyes of the 9 netherworlds. His willpower started shaking. He had solely focused on his own attack, he hadn't expected that Lin Feng would use such an attack against him. Now it was a bit complicated to react. Even if his attack was exceptional, if his opponents killed him before he had time to deploy them, then what was the point? Therefore, Han Feng retreated, having a bad premonition. His blade energies suddenly disappeared. Han Feng raised his head as drops of sweat appeared on his forehead. Everybody's eyes were wide open, they didn't understand why the blade couldn't move towards Lin Feng, and why Han Feng was withdrawing. Actually, Han Feng didn't only move backwards, he suddenly turned around and jumped off the stage. He declared, "I lost." He had lost, so staying on the battle stage was useless. Chapter 1853, Last Battle. The Nihility Sword Scriptures allowed a cultivator to learn more about sword intent. The sword meaning could advance to void, nihilism. Lin Feng hadn't studied the Nihility Sword Scriptures for very long, so he didn't control the sword techniques of the scriptures that well. With his Nihility Sword, he couldn't kill Han Feng. However, Han Feng was smart and understood that Lin Feng's Nihility Sword was more powerful than his Seven Blades laceration technique. His attack was perfect, but it wasn't enough against Lin Feng. Everybody was staring at Lin Feng. They knew Lin Feng could win before the battle had started, but they hadn't thought Han Feng would surrender. They didn't even know what had happened. Lin Feng hadn't even moved. Han Feng had just retreated and surrendered outright. They knew that Han Feng couldn't possibly have let Lin Feng win on purpose. At their cultivation level, nobody did that, only children or puerile people did such things. Lin Feng had probably used a secret technique, and Han Feng had given up. 82 victories. He's getting closer and closer to 100 victories. Thought the crowd, watching Lin Feng. Minister Uptala smiled gently and said, I sense some sword energy. That boy hasn't shown us all he can do. No matter who gets on the battle stage, I don't think anyone can win. Of course, Minister Uptala was talking loudly enough for Minister Kalasutra to hear. Minister Kalasutra smiled back. What if Qin Qin fought against him? I don't know, replied Minister Uptala cheerfully. She could win, or lose. He smiled at Qin Yao and asked. Qin Yao, you think you can definitely defeat him? Of course. Qin Yao replied confidently. Minister Uptala just looked away. Qin Yao was definitely going to fight. Minister Kalasutra had bet with him, so Qin Yao had to use her full strength against Lin Feng. Minister Uptala looked at Lin Feng and smiled. Even fewer people wanted to fight against him. At that moment, Minister Kalasutra openly said, 82 victories. Isn't there any low-level Hell Emperor in the great Imperial Song City who can defeat this young man? Many people's eyes twinkled. Lin Feng was incredibly strong. Defeating Lin Feng wasn't about the 100 victories anymore. It was even more meaningful. When Minister Uptala heard Minister Kalasutra, he looked at Lin Feng and said, Young man, if you get 100 victories, I'll give you a blue Uptala lotus. Blue Uptala lotus. The crowd all turned to look in astonishment. If Lin Feng wins 100 times, Minister Uptala will give him a blue Uptala lotus. What's wrong with the ministers? Why are they competing like that? The blue Uptala lotus contains the strength of the 10,000 things of creation, and now he's saying he's willing to give one to that guy. The audience was amazed. Lin Feng naturally heard everything. He raised his head and looked at Minister Uptala in surprise. Minister Kalasutra wanted people to defeat him, and Minister Uptala wanted him to win. They didn't seem to be friends. Thank you very much, Minister. Lin Feng smiled. He didn't understand these people's goals, but for him, there were only advantages. A minister was paying attention to him, that was a good thing. He was getting closer to his goal. He wanted to attract the attention of high officials, and those ministers were definitely high officials, they were just under Great Emperor Song in the hierarchy. No need. If you win, I will obtain Minister Kalasutra's hellfire. It's a great thing for me, too, laughed Minister Uptala. When the crowd heard that, they understood. Minister Uptala and Minister Kalasutra had bet on Lin Feng's battles, and Minister Uptala thought Lin Feng was going to get 100 victories, while Minister Kalasutra thought Lin Feng wasn't. The other people in the bleachers already knew that the ministers had bet. Many of them wished they were Lin Feng at that moment. After that, someone else went up onto the battle stage. That person was extremely strong, but far from being as strong as Han Feng. That cultivator didn't mind though, he wanted to fight against Lin Feng to practice, he knew he couldn't win. Besides, it was worth trying, if he were lucky, he might win. Of course, he lost, and Lin Feng now had 83 victories. After that, more people fought against Lin Feng, some stronger, some weaker. If those people had chosen another battle stage, they could have won 50 battles, at least. All in all, nobody could pose a threat to Lin Feng. Lin Feng quickly reached 97 victories. 3 more battles, thought the crowd. Lin Feng was 3 victories away from success. If he won 100 battles, he would be able to join the army and obtain Minister Uptila's blue Uptila lotus. Everybody watched the 2 ministers. They looked indifferent, it was impossible to know what they were thinking. Prince of the 6 Abysses. At that moment, the crowd saw a silhouette near the battle stage. They frowned. It was the Prince of the 6 Abysses. Did he want to fight against this guy? Even though the Prince of the 6 Abysses is a low-level Hell Emperor, he's very famous. He has killed many medium-level emperors. He's very strong, and as famous as Prince Mai. His 6 Hell spell is powerful, he can make people fall into the abysses of hell. Thought the crowd when they saw the Prince of the 6 Abysses. They looked excited. Since the Prince of the 6 Abysses was there, it meant he wanted to fight against Lin Feng. I came to exchange views on cultivation with you, said someone at that moment. The person was wearing white clothes and moved towards Lin Feng like lightning. People couldn't see the silhouette clearly. What a fast sword! How powerful! Thought the crowd, staring at the battle stage. Lin Feng sensed a powerful sword energy surround him. His eyes glittered. This person's speed was impressive. His speed cosmic energies made his sword even faster. He wanted to kill his opponents as quickly as possible. Lin Feng waved his hands, and an ocean of purple energies appeared, it was his purple lake tank. It rose to the skies, the sword lights shot through the air. However, at that moment, Lin Feng stretched his hand out, and a cage appeared. Break, shouted his opponent, releasing sword intent. Lin Feng released wind cosmic energies and Kulpa strength, which descended from the sky. Death Kulpa strength surrounded the opponent's sword intent, destroyed it, and then surrounded him. Kulpa, swore Lin Feng. His Kulpa strength rose to the skies, and the air crackled. His opponent gave out a horrible shriek as Lin Feng landed and punched him. There was a sound of shattering bones, and the man was smashed away and crashed onto the battle stage, some of his limbs bent in impossible ways. You're humiliating yourself. Lin Feng said mockingly. His opponent was stunned. But he had started the fight, he had immediately attacked Lin Feng even though he hadn't even landed on the battle stage, so Lin Feng decided to humiliate him back. 98. 2 more battles and Lin Feng would get 100 victories. However, the Prince of the 6 Abysses didn't seem to be willing to fight. The crowd was surprised when they saw that. He wants to wait to be the last one. Thought the many people watching the Prince of the 6 Abysses. He had that thought, indeed. Lin Feng easily defeated the next opponent and had 99 victories. It was the battle. A silhouette rose up in the air. It was the Prince of the 6 Abysses, preparing to challenge Lin Feng for the final battle. There, however, at that moment, the crowd saw a silhouette behind Lin Feng, a beautiful young woman. The crowd was stunned, it was Minister Kalasutra's daughter, Qin Yao. She also wants to fight against him. Thought the amazed audience. They hadn't thought that Minister Kalasutra's daughter would want to fight, too. Go down, Qin Yao said to the Prince of the 6 Abysses. The Prince of the 6 Abysses frowned and looked at her icily. It's my battle, said the Prince of the 6 Abysses. We can only have one battle at a time on the battle stage, said Qin Yao, smiling indifferently. Then, suddenly, she turned into a light beam and moved towards the Prince of the 6 Abysses. She didn't fight against Lin Feng, she fought against him. Fire. The crowd saw an ocean of black flames appear under the Prince of the 6 Abysses' feet. He looked ferocious. Hellfire. The Prince of the Six Abysses' expression changed drastically. He did some hand seals and 6 vortexes appeared around him, making him look like a god of hell. Burn! Under Qin Yao's feet, another powerful flame appeared and moved towards the 6 vortexes. Chapter 1854, Powerful Battle. Qin Yao's hellfire is powerful and destructive, thought the crowd. The Prince of the Six Abysses tried to force Qin Yao into the 6 abysses. She shouted furiously and condensed her energies. Flames sealed the area around the Prince of the Six Abysses. The Prince of the Six Abysses' 6 hells are going to burn and break apart, thought the astonished crowd. The Prince of the Six Abysses waved his hands and purple lights surrounded Qin Yao. Destroy, shouted Qin Yao. She condensed flames and a powerful hellfire appeared in her hand. The Prince of the Six Abysses frowned and looked nervous. He struck out with both fists to counterattack. However, at that moment, Qin Yao disappeared and turned into a raging fireball. Fire exploded in every direction, and flames filled the stage. It looked like hell. The crowd heard someone groan and then they saw the Prince of the Six Abysses moving back out of the flames. He was all burnt. How strong! No wonder she's Minister Kalasutra's daughter. They had only fought for a few seconds, but it was incredible nonetheless. The Prince of the Six Abysses' strength was astonishing, but he had still lost against Qin Yao. Get down now, ordered Qin Yao, smiling indifferently. Her smile was the picture of self-confidence. She had the right to fight against Lin Feng. We'll exchange views on cultivation again if we have the opportunity, Princess Qin Yao, replied the Prince of the Six Abysses, before turning around and leaving the battle stage. The princess would fight against Lin Feng. In the ancient pavilion, the geniuses there had all won 100 battles. However, when they saw how strong Qin Yao was, they were also surprised. She was a minister's daughter, and had inherited great powers. A cultivator's bloodline obviously had a great influence on their cultivation. In the bleachers, Minister Kalasutra smiled indifferently. When he saw how strong his daughter was, he felt relieved. The Prince of the Six Abysses was a public figure, but his daughter Qin Yao had still defeated him quickly. Qin Yao was exceptionally strong. Among the low-level emperors, there weren't many people who could defeat her. Probably the only ones who could compete with her were the other ministers' children. Ministers usually were doting parents. Princess Qin Yao is incredibly strong. Getting 100 victories won't be easy for that guy, observed Wang Shuo, smiling politely. He meant something implicitly. Minister Kalasutra just smiled. 100 victories would be really difficult for Lin Feng now. Minister Kalasutra looked at Minister Uptala and said, Brother Uptala, get ready to offer my daughter Qin Yao your lotus. I hope the little one will be able to get it, answered Minister Uptala indifferently. He had promised Lin Feng that if he won, he'd obtain a blue Uptala lotus. If Lin Feng lost, Minister Uptala would have to give Qin Yao a blue Uptala lotus, and his own daughter Qing wouldn't be able to obtain the hellfire. Everybody was watching Lin Feng at that moment. Lin Feng's strength was extraordinary. Amongst low-level hell emperors, he was indeed extremely strong. He had won 99 battles and hadn't had a rest at all. However, he didn't look like he needed one. How different would the 100th battle be? Especially now that he was going to fight against Qin Yao after she had defeated the Prince of the Six Abysses. The crowd didn't dare predict the result of the fight. After all, the Prince of the Six Abysses was a powerful cultivator and Qin Yao had defeated him, which meant she was even stronger. The Prince of the Six Abysses had looked so weak when facing her. Therefore, Lin Feng would probably struggle to win 100th time. People were used to seeing incredible battles with extremely strong geniuses. Many incredible cultivators liked fighting against someone once they had reached 99 victories. It was a dazzling way to win. If she managed to defeat Lin Feng, whom nobody else managed to defeat, then everybody would admire her. This guy has won 99 battles, but now he's probably going to lose since Qin Yao is much stronger and has hellfire. Thought some people. Qin Yao turned around and looked at Lin Feng. She smiled thinly and sat down in the flames. She looked very beautiful in the flames, but scary too. I'm sorry. You won 99 battles and that's a great achievement, but now it's going to be difficult to win the last one, smiled Qin Yao. However, she didn't sound like she was really sorry. She just sounded polite. Even ministers' daughters didn't rely on their parents, they relied on themselves. Great Emperor Song loved fighting, so young people also started from there. In the past, Qin Yao was only famous in Kalasutra Hell. The first time she had fought in the great imperial Song city, it hadn't been to draw people's attention, but she had anyway. Her purpose was to become strong. Fighting was inevitable and pleasant, so even without the ministers there, people fought anyway. Lin Feng looked back at Qin Yao calmly. He knew she was self-confident, but she had what it took to be confident. She was Minister Kalasutra's daughter, she had inherited his powerful blood. Such people were rare. Of course, what Qin Yao didn't know was that Lin Feng was also self-confident, even more than she. Princess, you're quite strong. However, nobody can prevent me from winning 100 times, replied Lin Feng calmly, yet aggressively. Nobody could prevent him from winning 100 times, including Minister Kalasutra's daughter. All right. We'll see something now. When Minister Uptala heard Lin Feng, he laughed wholeheartedly. This battle was going to be interesting. Even if Lin Feng lost, he'd be happy to give him a blue Uptala lotus. I respect you and truly believe you're extremely strong, so I will be merciless. Be careful. It could be dangerous, smiled Qin Yao, nodding at Lin Feng. Lin Feng replied, Princess, you're too polite. Please attack. Flames suddenly emerged from Qin Yao's body. It looked like hell had come to the battle stage, covering it in black flames. The temperature shot up, and the crackling and snapping of flames filled the air. The powerful fire surrounded Qin Yao's body and she disappeared within it. At that moment, some flames started moving and raced towards Lin Feng. He was startled, as these flames could easily destroy a medium-level emperor. His physical body had the strength of a medium-level emperor, but still, that fire was dangerous. After that, a third hellfire appeared and rose to the skies. The whole battle stage was surrounded by hellfire. The crowd was certain Lin Feng was going to lose. A vortex of hellfire surrounded Lin Feng and spun around. Qin Yao's powers are similar to Ho Qin Lin's reincarnation strength. If he came here to practice cultivation for a while, he'd definitely benefit from it, thought Lin Feng. The temperature continued increasing, and Lin Feng began to feel hot. The three flames became gigantic and descended from the sky towards Lin Feng. Hell was falling on him. Qin Yao's silhouette appeared again and she struck out in Lin Feng's direction. Lin Feng couldn't escape, and the fires could destroy him. How powerful! Thought Lin Feng. His heart started racing, and he finally moved. He flashed away, dazzling lights appeared all around as he sealed the atmosphere around him. The fire couldn't affect him anymore. He then released immortal strength, looking like a god. His eyes turned pitch black as he struck out using earth punches, trying to destroy one of the flames. The ground was shaking violently. Lin Feng then used his setting sun meteorite to attack the second fire. Sword lights cut the air and sliced it apart. He waved his hand and a destructive deployment strength manifested as his purple tank reappeared. It was like an ocean and moved towards the third flame. Lin Feng released Devamara Kulpa strength and physical strength to protect himself as he struck out towards Qin Yao. The whole atmosphere was filled with destructive energies. Black flames appeared in Qin Yao's eyes. She wanted to destroy Lin Feng's will, but Lin Feng's demonic will was too powerful, he was absolutely unaffected. She sensed an endless amount of invisible sharp sword energies surround her, and immediately after, a wall of Devamara Culpa punches moved towards her and collided with her fist. Black lights exploded and obscured everything. Qin Yao used hell strength, a destructive kind of power. However, at that moment, she sensed an even more destructive strength. Something blackish red splashed, it was her blood. Her mouth was bleeding, and she had the sensation that all the bones of her arm were broken. Chapter 1855, A Good Harvest. The destructive strength hadn't dispersed yet. The crowd was staring at the battle stage in astonishment. Qin Yao's strength was incredible, she had used amazing strength to fight against Lin Feng. The very sky had turned into hell. At the same time, she had used 3 hellfires to surround Lin Feng. Lin Feng was too strong, though. They didn't really understand how Lin Feng had attacked, but it had worked. Lin Feng had sealed the atmosphere with deployment strength, and at the same time, he had released immortal energies and will to punch her. He had also attacked the first hellfire with immortal, death, lightning, and earth cosmic energies, 4 kinds of cosmic energies. The second fire was destroyed by his setting sun meteorite, which contained fire, earth, wind, and death cosmic energies as well as sword strength coupled with fire and wind cosmic energies, that was a total of 6. The third fire was destroyed by a gigantic purple tank with an incredible destructive strength, which also contained many sorts of cosmic energies. In the end, Qin Yao and Lin Feng's fists had collided, but his punch was far more powerful and he blew her away. She even coughed up blood. Lin Feng was truly strong. His Devamara Culpa strength and his powerful physical strength were amazing. When the qi dispersed, the crowd saw Lin Feng still standing there, his black hair fluttering in the wind. He was motionless. Nobody can prevent me from winning 100 times. The crowd still remembered Lin Feng's statement as he stood there proudly. Even Princess Qin Yao, the daughter of a minister, hadn't managed to defeat him. At that moment, Qin Yao was still in the air, staring unhappily at Lin Feng with her beautiful eyes. She had lost, and felt a bit humiliated. She didn't feel as confident as before. "You lost," said Lin Feng helpfully. "You lost, so please go back." "The battle is not over," said Qin Yao. She didn't smile anymore. She released even more flames. "The battle is already over. If you insist and want to continue fighting, I can't guarantee it'll be safe for you," said Lin Feng calmly. The crowd was astonished. Was Lin Feng threatening her? Lin Feng actually meant that he had been merciful, he had controlled himself. Otherwise, Qin Yao wouldn't have looked like a human being anymore. "The young will be redoubtable in the years to come," said Minister Uptala, smiling broadly. Lin Feng was a passionate cultivator and he could see that. If someone raised that young boy correctly, he'd become a great emperor someday. He was very talented, he would definitely be able to become a minister someday and be at the head of an army. When Qin Yao heard Lin Feng, she stared at him icily. Lin Feng surprisingly dared say he had been merciful. She had used her full strength, Lin Feng hadn't. She continued releasing more and more energies, but at that moment, someone intervened. "Qin Yao, that's enough." It was her father, Minister Kalasutra. Qin Yao slowly turned around and looked back at him. "All right, come back," said Minister Kalasutra with a nod. Qin Yao remained silent for a few seconds, but when she saw her father's expression, she recalled her qi and nodded obediently before heading back to him. Her arm still felt extremely sore. There are many extremely strong cultivators here on the battle stages. "Someday, when you join the government, you'll be a dazzling cultivator," smiled Minister Kalasutra. Even though Lin Feng had defeated his daughter, he wasn't angry. After all, Lin Feng and Qin Yao had battled according to the rules on the official battle stage of the city. Qin Yao had even provoked Lin Feng. Even though he had a high social status, he had no reason to be angry at Lin Feng. Besides, he was a minister, and he was a celestial emperor in hell. He had to control himself. Even though Lin Feng had injured Qin Yao, the injuries weren't too bad. Lin Feng had taught her a good lesson. Surprisingly, an unknown young man was so strong. Of course, Minister Kalasutra was still a bit annoyed because he lost face to Minister Uptala. Qing, this hellfire is a gift to you from Uncle Kalasutra, said Minister Kalasutra to Qing while transmitting hellfire to her with a gesture. However, it didn't explode, it just moved slowly towards her. The ministers had made a bet, so Qing didn't refuse the hellfire. She smiled thinly and nodded to accept it. Qing looked at the fire in her hand and smiled at her father. Unfortunately, I am not a fire cultivator. Otherwise, that hellfire would make me much stronger. Even if you're not a fire cultivator, you can transform it and use it for your own interest, smiled Minister Uptala. He stretched his hand out, and the strength of the 10,000 things of creation appeared as a blue Uptala lotus manifested. Minister Uptala looked at Lin Feng and smiled, young man, this for you. I promised it, you won 100 battles, please take it. The blue Uptala lotus floated towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng stretched his hand out and grabbed the lotus, feeling its mysterious strength. It contained the strength of the 10,000 things of creation. Thank you very much for your great gift, Minister, smiled Lin Feng, bowing deeply. Lin Feng was very grateful. This blue Uptala lotus might be very useful for him. I see that you controlled fire cosmic energies, and your death cosmic energies are powerful. This hellfire can be very useful for you too, so I'm giving it to you. Qing smiled softly, sounding very sweet. She threw hellfire at Lin Feng. The crowd was astonished. Lin Feng was really lucky. He had obtained the blue Uptala lotus and the hellfire. However, he deserved it too. If he hadn't been strong, he wouldn't have won 100 times, and he wouldn't have obtained anything. Princess, it's a gift you received, I feel like I'm stealing something from you, replied Lin Feng. Qing had obtained the hellfire from Minister Kalasutra, and now she was giving it to him. He was touched. I don't need that fire. You will become much stronger quickly with it. Uncle Kalasutra won't be mad at me, said Qing smiled back at him. As expected, Minister Kalasutra said, Lin Feng, Qing is willing to give it to you, just take it. Thank you, my lady, said Lin Feng happily and politely. He had received the blue Uptala lotus and hellfire. At that moment, a silhouette rose up into the air and landed on the battle stage. The official was bearing medal, it had song written on it. He presented it to Lin Feng and said solemnly, you won 100 times, this is your medal. You can join the government and become a member of the army now. Thank you, sir, answered Lin Feng, accepting the medal of the great imperial Song City. Put your godly awareness into it, said the official. The owners of the medals put their godly awareness into them so that after their death, people couldn't counterfeit them or use them. If Lin Feng died, the medal would just break apart. Lin Feng did what he was told, and the person said, Lin Feng, you have won 100 battles. Now, you can also join those who have accomplished the same as you. If you defeat 9 other winners, you will gain privileges. Would you like to benefit from that program? I do want to participate, agreed Lin Feng, nodding without hesitation. This was another opportunity, he couldn't let it slip past him. Alright, since you do, please join them in the pavilions and take a rest. When all the battles are over, you can start fighting again, smiled the official. Lin Feng looked at the cultivators in the pavilions, understanding that those people had also won 100 battles. He hadn't known that before. He headed over to a pavilion. Chapter 1856, Incredible Battle. Lin Feng went to the pavilion beneath the 2 ministers, it was the best one to watch battles. However, because the 2 ministers were there, nobody else dared go there. However, Lin Feng did. When entering the pavilion, Lin Feng heard someone groan coldly. He turned around and saw Qin Yao. She looked angry as Minister Kalasutra healed her injuries. Lin Feng looked at Qin Yao and smiled. I'm sorry, I was a bit too rough. You said things could have gotten worse if we had continued fighting. Did you mean you were merciful? Said Qin Yao, rolling her eyes and grinding her teeth. Lin Feng looked embarrassed, but kept smiling. The battle was over. He wanted to be nice to her, especially since her father was a powerful man. Even though Qin Yao was angry, she didn't harbor any evil intentions. Qin Yao, how can you be so impolite? Even though you lost, you have to be polite and practice cultivation harder, chided Minister Kalasutra. I know. Qin Yao nodded. Then, she looked at Lin Feng coldly and said, we'll fight again if we have the opportunity. As you wish, princess. I am willing to spend time with you, said Lin Feng, smiling thinly. Then, he looked at Minister Uptala and his daughter and smiled at them both. Minister Uptala smiled back at him, but didn't say anything. Lin Feng looked back at the battle stages. Zhang Hun was still fighting. He had already won 62 battles, a rare achievement. He had come to win 100 battles. He hadn't thought Lin Feng, a new friend, would win that fast and in such a dazzling way. Apart from Zhang Hun, another extremely strong man was fighting. He had also been fighting for longer than Lin Feng. He was on the medium-level Hell Emperor's battle stage, and immediately drew Lin Feng's attention. He was blind and practiced sword cultivation. Even though he was blind, his swordsmanship was amazing. He was not only fast, he was precise, too. It was difficult to see where the sword attacks came from when he attacked. He was blind, but when fighting against him, it was like his opponents were the blind ones. He was a true sword assassin and his name was Jian Mang. Jian Mang had gotten onto the battle stage at the same time as He Lao. However, he hadn't won 100 battles yet, only 67 battles. He wasn't slow, he was a sword cultivator. He wasn't any slower than Lin Feng. He quickly won battles, so why was he still on the battle stage? It was because Jian Mang's sword attacks were cruel. After stabbing people, he slowly made them suffer, and pierced their eyes with his sword energies to make them go blind. Such cruel people were rare. Most people on the battle stages were merciful. People could accept losing a battle, but they were unwilling to go blind if they lost. Therefore, cruel people weren't numerous. Jian Mang was extremely strong, but because he was cruel, each time after his battles, people took a long time to go onto his battle stage because they were afraid. At that moment, another horrible shriek spread in the air. Jian Mang had immediately pierced one of that person's eyes. He's fast, precise, and cruel, thought Lin Feng. Even though he was cruel, he was also very strong. Fighting against him was definitely worth it. Lin Feng watched Jian Mang battle. After a few battles, he understood that Jian Mang's sword was extremely quick at the beginning, then its trajectory kept changing unpredictably and resulted in an unexpected winning move. His sword attacks were strange. Finding his weakness was very difficult, as his sword attacks were fast and unpredictable. Besides, each time people got close to that sword chi, they almost suffocated. And unfortunately, each time they lost, Jian Mang blinded them. Lin Feng also practiced sword cultivation. He used a straightforward path, using absolute power to defeat his enemies, but Jian Mang relied on his techniques and accuracy, yet the results were the same, absolute terror. Jian Mang is going to get 100 victories. Not many people can compete with him. So many people seem to be getting 100 victories today, thought the audience. Wang Zhua's eyes glittered sharply as he watched Jian Mang. Wang Zhua, can you win against him? Minister Kalasutra asked Wang Zhua. Wang Zhua was a medium-level Hell Emperor like Jian Mang. Besides, he had already dazzled on the battle stage in the past. When facing an incredible cultivator, no matter how insane you are, you can't win, replied Wang Zhua indifferently. Minister Kalasutra smiled and said, unfortunately, you have already won 100 victories in the past, so you can't go back onto the battle stage. Otherwise, I would have loved to see you defeat him. Time passed slowly. Zhang Heng had 83 victories and then, unfortunately, he lost against a very strong cultivator. He had failed after coming so close to success. But Zhang Heng wasn't angry. At the beginning, he didn't intend to finish the battles at once, he wanted to rest, but then he had seen Lin Feng win all his battles in a row and had continued. Now he had lost, but at least he had learned something. Zhang Heng looked at Lin Feng and smiled. Lin Feng, you've already won 100 battles. You will become a dazzling cultivator. I'm not staying here. I'll come back another day and try again. And then I'll also come to town to see you, called out Zhang Heng. Alright, I hope you'll win 100 battles soon. Lin Feng smiled back at Zhang Heng, watching him turn around and depart. After that, no other low-level emperor managed to win 100 times. Among the medium-level Hell Emperors, Jian Mang succeeded. Just like Lin Feng, he had finished all his battles without resting once. At that moment, an official landed on the battle stage and announced to the crow, after this fight, please stop the battles. Many low-level Hell Emperors and medium-level Hell Emperors have won 100 battles today. There will be battles between them. Everybody's eyes glittered with expectation. The winners were all geniuses. The battles between them were going to be powerful. They could definitely wait to see them. As expected, after the last battle, people stopped fighting. A strong cultivator in the air pointed to two battle stages. One was the battle stage on which Lin Feng had fought, and the other one was the one on which Jian Mang had fought. Since two people won 100 victories on these battle stages today, we can continue on them. People in the pavilions stood up and glanced at one another. Humph. Qin Yao was unhappy. She looked at Lin Feng angrily. She should have been on that battle stage, but Lin Feng had defeated her. Competitors landed on the two battle stages one after another. There were quite a few of them. For the medium-level Hell Emperors, there were 11 people including Jian Mang. For the low-level Hell Emperors, there were 13 people including Lin Feng. If you can defeat 9 people, then you will obtain privileges. At that moment, everybody looked around. Among the low-level Hell Emperors, Lin Feng can definitely win. The Prince of the Six Abysses is strong, but Qin Yao defeated him. And she is very strong, but Lin Feng defeated her. Even though those other people have won 100 battles, it will still be difficult for them to defeat Lin Feng. He can definitely obtain privileges, said someone. In the bleachers, many people were expressing their opinion. Minister Uptala smiled calmly and said, Lin Feng became famous today. I am convinced he will defeat 9 people. The official on the battle stage went on, you know the rules, Lin Feng can start the battles and challenge 9 people. If he loses, he has to leave the battle stage, and the winner can continue challenging 8 other people. On the low-level Hell Emperor's battle stage, there were 13 people, and Lin Feng was going to start. Each cultivator could also lose 3 times. After 3 losses, they were eliminated because there weren't enough fighters to lose more than 3 times and win 9 times. That way, the rules were fair. How would the battles look like? All those young people were amazing. Chapter 1857, 1 against 6 on the other battle stage, Jian Mang was the first one to start the battles. On the low-level Hell Emperor's battle stage, Lin Feng was the first one. He had to win against 9 people. Being the first one had an advantage, they could avoid people who they thought were too strong and start with weaker ones if they knew them. 9 battles won't be difficult for that young man, said Minister Kalasutra calmly. Qin Yao nodded and agreed, of course. He's so strong. He'll definitely obtain privileges. Lin Feng had defeated her. If she said Lin Feng couldn't win 9 times, it would mean that she wouldn't be able to. But those 12 people are also incredible people, they've also won 100 battles. They're geniuses. I can't wait to see how he'll defeat them, said Minister Kalasutra with an expectant smile. Lin Feng glanced at the people he had to challenge. He knew nobody. All those people are low-level emperors and they've all won 100 battles. Those 12 people are all strong cultivators. Maybe they're as strong as the students of Champion University who are in the top 20. I'm not going to fight against all of them at the same time, anyway, thought Lin Feng. He pointed at one of them and said, Your Excellency, please come and fight. Jin Pan Guan. The crowd looked at the person Lin Feng had chosen. He was wearing fine clothes, and was fat with a round face. Even though he couldn't be compared with He Lao, he really looked too fat to move. He was a gold cultivator, and his gold cosmic energies were powerful. He cut people apart with gold energies. He was unhappy that Lin Feng had challenged him. After all, he had seen how strong Lin Feng was, everybody had. Being the first one to lose would be annoying. And he could lose only 3 times. Against Lin Feng, he had little chance to win, so he wouldn't have many tries. The two faced each other as the others moved to the edge of the stage. Golden lights cut the air and Jin Pan Guan suddenly disappeared. Even though he was fat, it didn't have any impact on his speed. Lin Feng had the sensation that a rain of gold had started, and each drop of gold was as sharp as a blade. Whistling sounds filled his ears. The lights moved towards Lin Feng. At the same time, a golden pencil appeared in Jin Pan Guan's hand. His pencil streaked across the sky, containing a powerful deadly strength. Lin Feng had the impression he was going to be impaled. That guy's golden pencil is like a sword. It's sharp and contains gold and empty space cosmic energies. Lin Feng waved his hand and 9 ancient cauldrons appeared. 9 cauldron celestial attack, said Lin Feng, waving his hand as the cauldrons emitted whistling sounds. At the same time, wind cosmic energies surrounded him and he suddenly appeared higher up in the sky, following the cauldrons. Imprison, said Lin Feng, and a cage appeared. However, the golden energies pierced through the cage and broke it. Rule, said Lin Feng. His eyes moved as fast as lightning. Devamara Kulpa's rule strength moved towards Guan and bore down on him. Jin Pan Guan pulled a long face. Lin Feng knew so many different attacks. The strength of the 9 cauldrons was incredible. He couldn't win against Lin Feng. I have lost, shouted Jin Pan Guan. He knew that would happen from the beginning. It was better to give up now than end up injured, or he wouldn't be able to continue fighting later. However, by the time Lin Feng heard him, the 9 cauldrons were about to crash on his opponent, and actually did. Metallic sounds rang out, the air shook violently for a few seconds. Lin Feng had won the first battle. He won the battle extremely easily, he will easily win 9 battles, thought the audience in the bleachers. Jin Pan Guan had won 100 battles, but against Lin Feng, he had lost in the blink of an eye. Lin Feng would easily win 9 battles, it seemed. As the crowd had expected. Lin Feng won 2 more battles easily. The fighters didn't use their full strength to fight against him though, as they preferred not to overdo it and keep their energy for the following battles. After winning 3 battles, Lin Feng felt extremely motivated. His blood was boiling. He looked at everyone and said, "You're all being too cautious. The battles are pointless. 6 people can come together so that we don't waste time." The crowd was astonished. Even though Lin Feng was really strong, he was also being a bit too overconfident, it seemed. He was saying he was bored. People on the battle stage were astonished. They had won 100 battles too, and Lin Feng was saying it was pointless to fight against them. Even the ministers were astonished. I wouldn't have thought this guy would be so arrogant, thought Wang Zhuo. He looked at Lin Feng and said, "There are some powerful cultivators amongst them, for example the Prince of the 6 Abysses. You can't defeat 6 people at the same time." Even a medium-level emperor wouldn't dare fight against 6 of them. He's an ambitious and passionate young man. Let him do what he wants. Besides, he really won the first 3 battles easily. They are geniuses who won 100 battles, and Lin Feng is disappointed. I understand him. Let it be, Minister Uptala said calmly. He didn't sound insistent, and he wasn't trying to humiliate people either. He was just passionate. We'll see if he can be arrogant or not, said Qing Qing, smiling gently. Wang Zhuo was surprised, but he quickly smiled and said, "You're right. I should wait and see before criticizing." When people on the battle stage heard Lin Feng and then the ministers, they were unhappy. They had all won 100 battles, why were they there today? They wanted to earn privileges, and now they had to face a madman. People didn't even pay attention to them anymore, everybody was only talking about Lin Feng. These battles should be fair, one-on-ones, but since you want to fight against us at the same time, why not? I don't mind, I would love to see how strong you really are since you want to try, said someone at that moment, moving swiftly. That's how a man should be. Real men don't care about what people say, even if they know they're going to lose, they try anyway, it makes them stronger. All you guys are outstanding fighters, whether you lose or win, said Lin Feng. Many other people agreed. Lin Feng was arrogant, but many people admired him for that. He was arrogant, but passionate. Silhouettes flickered and 6 people surrounded Lin Feng with powerful qi. Let's fight, said Lin Feng as he released his Kulpa strength, which rose to the skies. A powerful demon qi surrounded him. Devamara Kulpa rolled in waves like thunder. He looked like a death god. Many dazzling lights emerged. Prince Mai attacked first, releasing a black strength which blotted out the sky. Lin Feng had the sensation he had fallen into hell as the air around him was sealed. Inescapable net technique. Everybody's eyes were glittering. The 6 attacked one after another. A powerful blade moved towards Lin Feng, while at the same time, small black embers struck out. Lin Feng disappeared inside all those energies. He waved his hands and attacked both fighters. A Kulpa web appeared around him, the atmosphere kept exploding. Energies collided and the air whistled with motion. Lin Feng flashed into the air. He waved his hands and more energies swept out, including Kulpa strength. A dazzling sharp sword streaked across the sky and moved towards that inescapable net technique. Lin Feng continued rising up in the air. "Where are you going?" shouted Prince Mai icily. He used both fists and released cosmic energies to attack Lin Feng. His energies formed a cage around Lin Feng. I have to defeat him first. Lin Feng looked like an ancient overlord. The air crackled as powerful earth and demon energies appeared above his head. Lin Feng released a gigantic hand towards the demon and earth hammer. He used physical strength and Devamara Kulpa strength to counterattack. The ground shook violently as the hammer crashed onto Lin Feng's hands with an explosive impact, his fist started bleeding. However, Lin Feng continued pressing against the energies with bare hands like an ancient god doing battle. Chapter 1858, Godly Soul Kulpa. Lin Feng used his hand to attack the earth and demon hammer. A powerful absorbing strength emerged from him. The attacker in the sky was startled as Lin Feng started absorbing his demon and earth strength. "Imprison," said Lin Feng. In a flash, a cage appeared around the cultivator in the sky. At the same time, he flashed forwards and his Kulpa strength turned into Devamara Kulpa lightning filling the air. His target sensed the destructive energies surround them, and the millions of threads of Kulpa strength corroding their body. Lin Feng then used his 9 cauldron celestial attack to hurl him off the stage. Lin Feng's moves were fast, but the others kept calm and continued attacking from every direction. Their attacks were all fearsomely strong. Lin Feng's physical body was powerful, but he couldn't ignore their attacks. Death and destructive Kulpa meaning suddenly rose up and Lin Feng shouted out. 9 Kulpa swords appeared and moved in every direction. Lin Feng had studied the indestructible Devamara scriptures, his Kulpa strength was incredible. It turned into a sword and gave birth to sword meaning as it turned into a powerful attack. Lin Feng waved his hands, and 2 dazzling marks appeared and turned into an ancient destructive deployment spell which shot in every direction as he kept moving. Purple Lake Tank. Lin Feng shot out his right hand and his purple tank descended from the sky and fused together with the destructive deployment spell as he condensed wind, cosmic energy. Lin Feng waved his left hand and condensed Devamara Kulpa strength, as well as shattering deployment strength. His fist looked like a powerful destructive Devamara Kulpa animal trying to destroy the earth and the sky. His strength was just too astonishing. What an invasive and powerful strength, thought Minister Uptala, leaning forwards in the bleachers. Lin Feng's attacks were majestic and powerful, and his cosmic energies were incredible. Ordinary Hell Emperors couldn't compete with him. He looked like a warlord. Heaven and Hell, proclaimed an icy voice. Lin Feng had the sensation that he was falling into hell, and his whole body was suddenly surrounded by flames. He frowned and looked down at Prince Mai. As expected, that guy was incredibly strong. At that moment, 3 people had already been injured, 1 had been forced off the stage. However, the injured had come back already. They didn't care about their injuries, all they wanted to do was to defeat Lin Feng. How could they be scared? They were heroes. They all used their full strength. If Lin Feng won against them even though they were joining hands, that would be humiliating. Lin Feng sensed their energies and motivation. He released more layers of energies, and more Devamara Kulpa surrounded him. He also released immortal energies with his Devamara Kulpa strength. It looked like black lightning striking Lin Feng. Fall! Shouted Lin Feng, raising his head to the skies, looking like an immortal demon king with his black eyes. His Devamara Kulpa strength started rotating around him, and turned into a destructive Kulpa sword, the air ripping everything around him apart. Thunder rang out as a beam of light appeared. The air was seething with power, Lin Feng was in the middle of it in a Kulpa world. His Kulpa strength turned into a web. Multiple explosions rang out. The crowd was shaken. Black energies swirled and condensed into a black cloud. The Devamara Kulpa strength covered everything. Lin Feng could release so much Kulpa strength, was he going to get cleansed by even more Kulpa strength? Piss off, shouted Lin Feng, furiously rising up in the air. 5 fighters were hurled away, all of them injured, some even badly injured. Kulpa strength was flowing through their bodies. However, at that moment, they looked at the sky. Lin Feng could attract the Kulpa strength of the sky. What was going on? Kulpa strength condensed above Lin Feng's head. He had almost forgotten that he was fighting, he continued releasing Devamara Kulpa. The sky kept erupting with energy. A powerful Kulpa strength kept falling from the sky and bombarding Lin Feng's body, and his muscles felt as if they were going to explode. He started shaking. He was going to be cleansed by Kulpa strength once more. Each time, it was even more intense. His physical body already had the strength of a medium-level emperor. The ancient Kulpa scriptures were extremely complex, not just any could study them. Most people who started studying them usually gave up shortly after having begun because the Kulpa strength could destroy them, and they might die. Kulpa strength is falling from the sky to cleanse his body. That's a skill he studied. Noted ministers Uptala and Kalasutra. They were both startled. That guy had surprisingly studied a skill which allowed him to attract Kulpa strength and cleanse his body. Such powerful ancient scriptures. The crowd was astonished and shaken by what they were seeing. Another cloud of Devamara Kulpa strength fell and bombarded Lin Feng's body again. Lin Feng had the sensation that he was becoming paralyzed. The first round had just bombarded him, he hadn't had a second to recover before the second round of Culpa strength was already bombarding him again. Life cosmic energy. Few people understand life cosmic energy, thought the crowd, sensing the life cosmic energy. In hell, people drank black water, everything was based on black water. They were good at understanding black energy, and for that reason, they didn't understand life energy. However, Lin Feng understood both life and death energies. His Devamara Culpa strength continued descending from the sky and pouring down on him. Lin Feng's clothes were suddenly torn apart. Some women's faces turned red, but Lin Feng condensed Devamara Culpa strength to hide the lower part of his body. It didn't matter much, anyway. After that, Lin Feng raised his head and looked up at the sky. He looked solemn and determined. One last Culpa cleansing. The Devamara Culpa strength continued appearing. However, after a long time, Lin Feng rose up in the air, condensed Devamara Culpa strength, and thunder rumbled again. Lin Feng raised his head and more Culpa strength crashed down onto him. His head shook violently as well as his soul. Lin Feng closed his eyes, coughed up blood, and his face became deathly pale. What's going on? The people frowned and stared at Lin Feng. Their expressions changed drastically. What was wrong with Lin Feng? Lin Feng felt dizzy, as if he was going to die. His soul was bombarded out of his body and shook violently. His soul is leaving his body. Could this Culpa be a soul or spiritual Culpa? Wondered Lin Feng. He tried to make his soul and body fuse back together again as he slowly opened his eyes. They were still pitch black. He had recovered. This time, the cleansing had been incredible, his soul had been pushed out of his body and he had bled. But his willpower was great, so he had persevered. His Devamara Culpa strength was now much more powerful. Gotcha. Lin Feng clenched his fists, Culpa strength exploded out and dispersed. Each Culpa strength was divided into 9 tiers, and there were 9 levels of Culpa strength, which meant 81 levels. Lin Feng was a low-level emperor, so at that level, he could be cleansed by 81 layers of Culpa strength. For an ordinary cultivator, after being cleansed 81 times by Culpa strength, their soul changed. Lin Feng was different, though. His physical body already had the strength of a medium-level emperor, and this time his soul had changed. His physical body had become stronger and his demon cosmic energies had changed, too. Now, his cultivation level had advanced to that of a medium-level emperor. What a powerful skill, said Minister Uptala. He was amazed. Everybody looked at him when they heard him and trembled. Lin Feng had broken through while fighting, thanks to the Devamara Culpa strength. He had been cleansed another 9 times by Culpa strength, and his soul and body had changed. Now, he had the chi of a medium-level emperor. However, the strange thing was that he still looked like a Zoom cultivator. So now what about the battle? Asked Minister Kalasutra. He was also surprised. Lin Feng had broken through and become a medium-level Hell Emperor during the battle. However, he was still on the battle stage of the low-level Hell Emperors. Lin Feng has won 100 battles and there isn't much to say about the battle against the 6 others at the same time. He's really strong. Now that he broke through, the battle counts, said Minister Uptala with a smile. The crowd looked at the cultivators around Lin Feng. Prince Mai sighed and said, he's already done a great job. I think he won. Then, he turned around and left the battle stage. While walking away, he said as he left, even if you continue the battles, fighting for 9 victories is now pointless. Chapter 1859, City Government. The other people on the battle stage left as well when they heard Prince Mai. They were all determined and passionate people. They were all geniuses who had won 100 battles on the battle stage. They couldn't fight against a strong medium-level Hell Emperor. 6 of them had fought against Lin Feng at the same time, and he had easily defeated them, even injuring some of them. Lin Feng had used Devamara Culpa and broken through, it was all too incredible. Other people rose into the air and left. Those who had fought against Lin Feng decided not to stay on the battle stage and left. Very quickly, Lin Feng was alone on the battle stage. When the crowd saw Lin Feng alone on the battle stage, they sighed. Fighting against someone like that was monstrous. At that moment, the city official landed on the battle stage and smiled at Lin Feng. Lin Feng, we know you're very strong. The great Emperor of Hell loves battles, and you are a heroic fighter. From now on, you can access all the external governmental buildings of the city. You can also go to all the pavilions and governmental halls, you just can't go to people's residences, obviously. The city army is composed of 108 armies. Among them, there are 72 Hell Imperial armies and 36 Great Imperial armies. There are all kinds of armies among the 72 Imperial armies. After you understand the different troops, you can choose one and join them. You don't need to take any more tests. When the crowd heard that, they were amazed. People who managed to win 100 battles were already monstrously strong. Those who could win 9 battles against the other champions were even more powerful, and the city wanted to support such talents. They all had a bright future ahead of them. Many ministers had risen that way, and when they saw Lin Feng, a handsome and strong young man, they could easily imagine what his future would be like. As expected, these are the kinds of privileges you get. I can freely travel within the governmental buildings now, thought Lin Feng. He could also go to all the pavilions and governmental halls, which probably contained incredible treasures, such as ancient and mysterious scriptures. Great Emperor Song really attached great importance to such geniuses. Unfortunately, Lin Feng's cultivation level was still too low. Great Emperor Song couldn't personally attach any importance to him. After all, he was just a medium-level emperor. For Great Emperor Song, one of the 10 Yama court's kings, that was low. However, Great Emperor Song had set up procedures and rules, so his assistants took care of such people. If Lin Feng kept up the good work, he'd be able to meet Great Emperor Song sooner or later. There were many strong cultivators in the Great Imperial Song city, Great Emperor Song couldn't help all of them individually. Thank you very much, sir. Lin Feng bowed politely. Minister Uptala smiled and said, I wouldn't have thought that I'd see such a great cultivator today. Wang Zhua, my boy, it seems like you made another mistake today. He fought against 6 people, and even if he hadn't broken through, he would have won. He can be proud and he can definitely be a bit arrogant. You would be the same. Minister Uptala, you're right. I was wrong, I hadn't thought he'd be so strong. Now, he's a medium-level Hell Emperor, in the future, he'll become like Jian Mang, agreed Wang Zhua easily. He wasn't offended by what the minister had said, and he even compared Jian Mang to Lin Feng. He looked at the other battle stage. Jian Mang has already won 7 battles, that's the 8th one, said Wang Zhua. Jian Mang is extremely strong, but Lin Feng was much more amazing. He fought against all those low-level Hell Emperors at the same time. Jian Mang also just blinded one of the people among those champions. The others are all injured. Jian Mang is still just as cruel, said Qin Yao calmly. Minister Kalasutra agreed. I wish everybody could be like Lin Feng. Even though Minister Uptala and Minister Kalasutra didn't agree on everything, they both acknowledged Lin Feng. Even if Minister Kalasutra had lost the Hellfire because of Lin Feng, he didn't mind because he hadn't seen such a strong cultivator in many years. He won the 8th battle. The crowd was watching Jian Mang. He had cruelly blinded his opponent again. If Jian Mang did the same to the last one, it would be difficult for them to fight against one another as well, there wouldn't be enough of them able to fight. Lin Feng went back to the pavilion and watched Jian Mang as well. He had the sensation that Jian Mang was doing something mysterious because each time, he saw some sword force which moved really slow. However, his attacks were still surprising and fast. Jian Mang will win the 9th battle, thought Lin Feng, and as expected, Jian Mang did so. On that day, on both the battle stages for low-level Hell Emperors and medium-level Hell Emperors, 2 cultivators had managed to win against 9 other champions, a rare and difficult feat. Someone didn't want to let Lin Feng be the only one, said Wang Zhuo, smiling thinly. After Jian Mang won 9 battles, the others didn't continue battling, and simply left. The crowd was amazed and pleased. 2 incredible cultivators had appeared today, both winning 100 battles without resting and defeating 9 champions. But Lin Feng's performance had been even more amazing. He had defeated Qin Yao the princess, and he had also defeated 6 people at the same time. However, Jian Mang had fought on the medium-level Hell Emperor's battle stage, and Lin Feng with the low-level Hell Emperors, so Jian Mang was stronger than Lin Feng. Jian Mang would obtain privileges like Lin Feng. He could also choose to join one of the 72 imperial military factions. After winning, Jian Mang didn't say anything and left in the direction of the city. He wanted to benefit from the privileges as soon as possible. The crowd found him amusing and unconventional. Lin Feng also stood up. Minister Uptala looked at him and asked, "Are you going to the city, too?" "Indeed," nodded Lin Feng. He had obtained privileges, and he wanted to see the city, learn more about Hell, the great imperial Song city, etc. "Let's go together. I'm also going back to the office." "You can come to my area and have a look," Minister Uptala offered. "Minister, your offices are in the city center too?" asked Lin Feng. Minister Uptala was surprised. Lin Feng didn't know about him. "Lin Feng, ministers in this city are under the orders of Great Emperor Song. The same applies to every city. Each city is divided into private districts and external districts. The private district is where Great Emperor Song lives and where we, his ministers, have our offices. The external district is for ordinary activities," explained Minister Kalasutra politely. "Lin Feng, my office is also in the private district. I can help you modify your hellfire." Lin Feng was very happy to be invited by the 2 ministers. It seemed that the city was as big as a country. "Ministers, I would like to get familiar with the city first," said Lin Feng, smiling at the 2 of them. Minister Kalasutra nodded at his words. "Very good. You don't know the city, so get familiar with it." "Lin Feng, I'll show you around if you want," offered Wang Zhuo pleasantly. Lin Feng glanced at Wang Zhuo. He looked like a prince or other extraordinary person, but he was smiling in a humble way. He could sit with 2 ministers, which meant he had a high position. "All right, thank you," agreed Lin Feng with a quick smile and nod, not refusing Wang Zhuo's invitation. He wanted to get familiar with the city, so having a guide was good. "All right, you're all geniuses, make friends and learn from each others." "Qin Yao, let's go," said Minister Kalasutra. Qin Yao shook her head and said, "Dad, I have nothing to do. I'm going with Wang Zhuo," as she looked at Lin Feng coolly. Minister Kalasutra was surprised, but simply smiled and nodded. "All right, as you wish," before he left. "Lin Feng, if you have any problems, come to Uptala office to find me," directed Minister Uptala. Then, he glanced at Qin Qing. "Let's go." She nodded and followed after her father. "Brother Lin Feng, please," said Wang Zhuo, showing the way, and the 3 of them left. When they arrived in the city, Lin Feng had the impression he was in another world. The city was gigantic and very crowded. There were amazing cultivators everywhere, and their chi rose to the skies. The city has existed for a very long time. There are some very powerful clans here. Some of their districts are as big as cities, Wang Zhuo told him. Lin Feng understood that. In the city, just the private district alone was where Great Emperor Song lived. Chapter 1860, Blue Uptala Lotus, Brother Lin Feng, it's a huge city. Where do you want to go? I can guide you, said Wang Zhuo politely. I want to go to a place where we can see ancient scriptures, spells, skills and techniques, Lin Feng told him straightforwardly. The city was gigantic, but he wanted to see how different their books were. You already know some powerful skills, why would you want to study more? Qin Yao asked coldly. Lin Feng's Devamara Culpa skills were incredible. Even though she didn't know what kind of skills Lin Feng knew, she knew they were powerful. This place is extraordinary, there must be some incredible and mysterious skills. Why not go and see them? I like books. Of course, if we can't go, I don't mind, Lin Feng answered calmly. He didn't even glance at Qin Yao while talking. He had defeated her, why couldn't she get over it? There are many libraries in the external district. Disciples study there. Lin Feng, you're free to travel in the external district, so you can also go, of course. Wang Zhua informed him cheerfully. There were 108 armies in the city. 36 were composed of great emperors, 72 were composed of emperors. Apart from those people, most folk lived in the external district. Those who were under the orders of great Emperor Song definitely had incredible scriptures and skills. Wang Zhua and the two others raced along and headed into the depths of the city. After a short time, they arrived in front of a library, designed as a lofty pavilion. Lin Feng and the others entered the building freely. It was very dark inside. That was an attribute of hell, and the libraries were no exception. Otherwise, the difference between the continent of the 9 clouds and hell wasn't big. Even those who are members of the army can't easily come in here. Brother Lin, because you won against the 9 champions, you are free to come in here. Qin Yao can come in because Minister Kalasutra is her father. Wang Zhua explained patiently. Humph. I will also deserve it, I will also have privileges thanks to my strength. Even though Minister Kalasutra is my father, apart from a few scriptures and spells, I don't have any other privileges. In this city, only strength matters. Qin Yao said coldly. This girl was annoying and Lin Feng was started to lose patience with her. Jian Mang is here too. Wang Zhua mentioned, gazing into the distance. The blind swordsman had a talisman in his hand. He was blind, so he could only use talismans to study, since he couldn't read books. Lin Feng looked at him, took out a talisman which contained a book, and projected his godly awareness inside. Netherworld Celestial Fire Scriptures. Lin Feng read the title of a book, it contained skills which used shadowy fire cosmic energies. Lin Feng looked at Qin Yao and smiled. You have hellfire, this skill is good for you. You should study these scriptures, princess. Lin Feng put his talisman away and took another one. Time passed slowly. Lin Feng read some books. He realized that books in hell all involved hell strength. Many of them also involved netherworldly fire. There were also some powerful skills which involved powerful hell strength. There were millions and millions of spells, techniques, and ancient scriptures for all kinds of cultivators. Like in the continent of the 9 clouds, people in hell could also have different specialties and different techniques. You really like to chill. Qin Yao spoke up. After a long time, Lin Feng was still reading. He was a good cultivator and read books carefully. Qin Yao was losing her patience. I am not very intelligent. I need to broaden my knowledge, replied Lin Feng patiently. If you're bored, you can leave. You don't need to worry about me and spend time with me. Qin Yao looked at Lin Feng icily. Spend time with you? You're ridiculous. I just want to see what the one who defeated me enjoys doing in his spare time. I see. Then please don't disturb me, Lin Feng answered indifferently as he continued reading. He found a powerful skill book. He put his entire godly awareness into it and memorized the whole book. For those who could come in the library, it wasn't a priceless book, but in the outside world, it was. Of course, the people who could come to that library were all incredible. After a long time, Wang Zhuo had no time to wait anymore. He smiled at Lin Feng and left. Lin Feng was very patient. After half a day, he still didn't want to leave. However, Qin Yao didn't leave. She stayed with Lin Feng and also read some books. Lin Feng turned his head and noticed a very pale woman. Princess Qing Qing. What are you doing here? Asked Lin Feng. It was Princess Qing Qing, Minister Uptala's daughter. I wanted to find some ancient scriptures, said Qing Qing, smiling gently. Lin Feng, how long have you been here? The whole time. Lin Feng answered honestly. Qing Qing was startled and asked, the whole time? You didn't visit other places? Indeed. Nodded Lin Feng. Qing Qing smiled and blushed. You've been here long enough then. You should come to my dad's office. He really likes you. He wants to teach you how to use the blue Uptala lotus. Princess Qing Qing, have you already found books you needed? Asked Lin Feng. Qing Qing nodded and Lin Feng said. Since it's that way, I can't refuse your offer then. Great. My father will be so happy. And also, don't call me Princess Qing Qing, just call me Qing Qing, that's fine. They both laughed and left. Qin Yao was astonished. She watched them leave and glared at Lin Feng furiously. Those two. When Lin Feng left, he noticed that Jian Mang was still in there. That guy was also a hard worker. Lin Feng, you stayed in the pavilion because you don't like visiting places? Qing Qing asked him. She was very curious. He knew nothing about the city and only appeared to have the strength of a Zoom cultivator. Apart from the army buildings and the libraries, what else is interesting here? Asked Lin Feng. There are some interesting places, smiled Qing Qing. But now we're going to see my dad, you won't be disappointed. The two headed towards the private district. It was a place people normally couldn't go freely. Of course, there were some exceptions, as Qing Qing took Lin Feng to a strange place inside it. The Uptala office seemed to be an empty field. It was covered by a white layer of energy, and almost invisible. It was also very calm and quiet. When Lin Feng arrived, Minister Uptala was seated there cross-legged and his eyes were closed. Lin Feng. Minister Uptala suddenly opened his eyes, then smiled and nodded at Lin Feng. Minister, I didn't want to disturb you, Lin Feng said to him. This man was nice and easy to get along with. Qing Qing was the same. I'm happy to see you, said Minister Uptala. Come, let's go and see the lotuses. Lin Feng walked with the minister to some lotus fields. They were all beautiful and contained the qi of the 10,000 things of creation. Lin Feng felt extremely good, buoyant and uplifted in soul. What a strange qi, sighed Lin Feng. Minister Uptala smiled. That's thanks to blue Uptala lotuses. Take out your lotus and look at it. Lin Feng nodded and took out his blue Uptala lotus. Release cosmic energies, instructed Minister Uptala. Lin Feng released cosmic energies. In a flash, he sensed an incredible qi surround him, made up of all sorts of cosmic energies, as if the lotuses contained all the cosmic energies of the world. That blue Uptala lotus contains the qi of the 10,000 things of creation. You can control several sorts of cosmic energies. If you practice cultivation using the lotus, your cosmic energies will fuse together even better when you attack, explained Minister Uptala. Lin Feng's heart started racing. He hadn't thought the blue Uptala lotus would be so incredible. Chapter 1861, Two Adorable Sisters in Ba Huang, Jianghe. Lin Feng's clone opened his eyes and recalled his qi. Sharp lights glittered in his eyes. Behind Lin Feng, an old man arrived. The old man walked slowly, but had the spirit of a dragon horse. He was old but still full of vitality, with a thick head of hair. Seeing him like that, it was difficult to imagine that a few months before, he was about to die. Lin Feng, you became stronger again, said Emperor Wu Tianjian, walking up to Lin Feng. Lin Feng's qi and soul were changing, and he was becoming stronger. Emperor Wu Tianjian was surprised, because Lin Feng's qi wasn't as strong as he had thought. He didn't know why he had that impression. Lin Feng stood up and smiled in greeting at Emperor Wu Tianjian. Master, you're glowing with health and radiating vigor. Since you healed, you must have been studying a lot too. Indeed. The Celestial Evolution Holy Scriptures hold extensive knowledge and profound scholarship, they are incredible. My understanding of the Nihility Sword Scriptures improved as well thanks to the Celestial Evolution Holy Scriptures. Everything is going great. Emperor Wu Tianjian nodded. The Nihility Sword Scriptures used to be a precious treasure of Sword Mountain, and only the leaders of Sword Mountain could obtain them. His fellow disciple had chased him away and tried to kill him. Now, Emperor Wu Tianjian had the Celestial Evolution Holy Scriptures and he was also a great emperor. He was becoming stronger and stronger. It seems that you'll be able to return to Sword Mountain soon, Lin Feng conjectured. Emperor Wu Tianjian gazed into the distance and stated firmly, I'm definitely going to Sword Mountain. At that moment, they heard some steps, Jian Mu was coming. He stopped 2,000 meters away from them and bowed before Lin Feng and Emperor Wu Tianjian. Young master, someone is here for you. Who? Lin Feng inquired. Feng Ling and Feng Xian from Qi Feng Mountain, replied Jian Mu. Lin Feng nodded and said, all right, I'll go and see them. I will prepare everything next to the lake, Jian Mu said, bowing and walking backwards. Emperor Wu Tianjian laughed and said, Jian Mu is a good man. Unfortunately, he's not talented. Master, Jiang now rules over the central part of Ba Huang. Apart from you and me, nobody has broken through to the Huang Qi layer. If you can, you could help some of them break through to the Huang Qi layer and I could give them some imperial weapons. That way, Jiang would thrive for another 10,000 years. All right. Jian Wu Bei is quite strong, and he should be able to break through to the Huang Qi layer soon. I will help him. Regarding Jian Wu Bei and the others, they could possibly become emperors if they used fate seeds. Unless strong people from the outside world come here, with your imperial weapons and ancient scriptures, Jiang should be fine for another 10,000 years, indeed. They control their future, though, said Emperor Wu Tianjian. Even if Jiang didn't thrive for another 10,000 years, what could he do about it? Lin Feng nodded. He had recreated Tiantai in the former territory of the 9 great celestial castles. Strong cultivators from the outside world wouldn't be very numerous in the small world anymore. If Jiang didn't manage to rise, then they couldn't do much about it. Lin Feng left Emperor Wu Tianjian and went to a lake. There was a pavilion there with 2 beautiful women inside. Lin Feng had seen many beautiful women in his life, but those 2 women were indeed incredibly beautiful. Feng Xian was wearing a red skirt, she had a great figure and was very sexy, the whole image only helped by her powerful qi. Feng Ling wasn't the same cute little girl anymore, she was wearing a long and slim dress made of phoenix feathers. She looked like a phoenix queen, and her qi was much more powerful than Feng Xian's. Lin Feng, the 2 girls greeting them. They were smiling widely at him. Long time no see, answered Lin Feng, looking over these 2 incredibly beautiful women. You came back to Ba Huang, and you didn't come see us. You don't like us anymore, said Feng Ling. Even though she had broken through to the Huang Qi layer, she still sounded cute and pouted. I have so much to do. Don't be angry at me, little girl. Lin Feng smiling at her. Who's a little girl? Asked Feng Ling angrily. Lin Feng smiled wryly and poked her. Feng Ling wanted to dodge, but she couldn't move. She turned red and stared at Lin Feng. Huh, so are you a little girl or not? Challenged Lin Feng. Bastard, you're bullying me, said Feng Ling, kicking Lin Feng. Lin Feng bit his lips as he took the kick. She was strong. Alright, that's enough, Ling, said Feng Xian, rolling her eyes. You're an emperor and you're acting like a kid. Indeed. I'm the Empress of Qi Feng, stated Feng Ling. Lin Feng smiled and conceded, alright, you're an empress, not a little girl. Lin Feng, how was the great world, asked Feng Xian, ignoring Feng Ling. Right, how is the great world, does the holy city exist, asked Feng Ling, abruptly brimming with eager curiosity. The great world. Lin Feng remained silent for a few seconds before saying, I'll try to sum it up a little. Then, he explained to Feng Ling and Feng Xian some things about the great world. They understood that Ba Huang and Zhou Yu were the exits to the great world, that people from the 9 great celestial castles used to control it, and also that the 9 great celestial castles were under the orders of Qing Di Mountain. In the great world, there were many powerful groups like Qing Di. In the continent of the 9 clouds, there were several regions. In the Dark Night region, there were 18 main cities, and the Holy City was one of them. There were many powerful holy clans there. There were also many geniuses and universities which had incredible ancient scriptures. Are people extremely strong in Champion University? Asked Feng Ling. Her eyes were shining with curiosity. They are. Low-level emperors there are much more powerful than people like, let's say, Emperor Dong, for example. They are real geniuses, admitted Lin Feng. Feng Ling was amazed. She had broken through to the Huangqi layer, but she didn't realize how strong those emperors were. Lin Feng, everybody in Ba Huang now knows that you're extremely strong. Show me how strong you are, giggled Feng Ling. Lin Feng looked at her and released cosmic energies, imprison. In just a flash, a cage appeared around Feng Ling. Feng Ling attacked the cage, but it didn't yield at all. Lin Feng laughed, waved his hand and the cage disappeared. Feng Ling looked him and declared, you're bullying me. You wanted to try, said Lin Feng speechlessly. Alright, Lin Feng didn't do much. He recreated Tiantai in the Great World and Tiantai rules over the territory of the 9 great celestial castles. The Wen clan and the palace of the celestial kings of medicine have already disappeared thanks to him. You can't compete with him, laughed Feng Xian. Feng Ling's eyes twinkled. She wanted to learn more about the great world. Ling, said Feng Xian to Feng Ling solemnly. I can stay in Qi Feng alone. You can go to the great world with Lin Feng, said Feng Xian. She had come to see Lin Feng because she hoped Lin Feng could take care of her little sister. After all, Feng Ling couldn't go to the great world alone, she was still young. Feng Ling was startled, but she smiled and said, to the great world? I don't want to go. I want to stay in Qi Feng and be the great empress. In Ba Huang, I feel good. Lin Feng looked at them, he found them cute. They took care of one another. You're so talented, it would be a waste if you stayed here, replied Feng Xian, shaking her head. A waste? I am already quite strong. I will have a very long life. I can become stronger and then I can go to the great world. It's all the same, said Feng Ling. Then, she smiled at Lin Feng and said, alright, Lin Feng, we saw you now so we can leave. Do you have gifts for my sister? Alright, Lin Feng nodded. Feng Ling was so cute, how could he refuse? He released his godly awareness which moved straight to Feng Ling's third eye. She knew what he wanted to do. She closed her beautiful eyes and accepted the memories. After a short time, Feng Ling opened her eyes and Lin Feng said, you can transmit the presents to your sister. You're lucky you're a nice guy, said Feng Ling with a laugh. Then, she took a step forwards and hugged Lin Feng. At the same time, she moved her mouth to Lin Feng's ear and said, Lin Feng, I need to tell you a secret, I think my sister is in love with you. Then, she moved back, grabbed Feng Xian's hand and said, sister, hug him too and let's go. He will go back to the great world, you will maybe never see him again in this life. Feng Xian felt extremely sad. One of the 4 most beautiful women in Ba Huang back then, she belonged to a powerful imperial clan, and now everything had changed. She felt dispirited. She was standing there, her hair was fluttering in the wind. Her legs felt stiff. Lin Feng smiled, took a step forwards and embraced Feng Xian. Feng Xian shivered. "Take care," said Lin Feng. As Feng Ling had said, maybe they would never meet again. Lin Feng had already met many people in life. Among them, who would he keep in touch with forever? Feng Ling and Feng Xian had mixed feelings as they left. Lin Feng sighed, feeling sad too. He sat on the lakeside and lost himself in nostalgia for a time. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.